What do you mean?
I was feeling the same way.
Let's do this. It's the Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indie Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indie Sports Ticket app.
What a night last night. Round 2 of the NBA draft. Purdue fans are excited. Their guy, Braden Smith, is going to be an Indiana Pacer. Pacers sadly couldn't grab my guy, Malik Thomas. That's all right. It's okay. And It's got a lot of people talking. Welcome into the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Thanks for tuning in. No matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket, if you want to head over there and subscribe, you can watch the show on X__Jonathan Smith to follow me there and watch the show there. You can also listen on the Indy Sports Ticket app, which you can download wherever you find your apps, and of course, 14:30 a.m. as well. A lot to get to today. We're going to start with the Pacers trading with the Chicago Bulls for the 38th overall pick in the NBA draft, and the Pacers decided to take Purdue point guard Braden Smith. They sent Cam Jones, last year's second-round pick, out of Marquette. Future swaps ended up being two, second-round swaps. Who cares about that? And cash. Hey, if you want to make a trade with the Bulls, send them some cash. I'll be honest, though. I don't understand this. Kevin Pritchard and Chad Buchanan are both way smarter than I am. I won't deny that. But I do think that some things are incredibly simple. And I think this is one of them. It is very hard for small guards to play in the NBA. It's very difficult. And the ones who are able to do it are all one of two things. One, they're all insanely quick, or they are incredibly explosive. The trade deadline on X, who does a really good job of covering the Pacers draft, posted a list of some different players that have came in around the same height as Braden Smith. 5'10" and a quarter. By the way, all these guys are taller than Braden Smith. Ryan Nembhard, who was an undrafted free agent to the Dallas Mavericks last year, incredibly quick, very good shooter off the bounce. Jose Alvarado, who was an important piece for the New York Knicks in their title run this last year. Incredibly quick, very good defender because of his quickness, and can also really shoot it. Fred VanVleet, bigger point guard, very physical, very good defender because of his quickness. Chris Paul measured in at 5'11" and 3/4. Chris Paul, certainly I don't have to explain how athletically gifted he was during the prime of his career. Davion Mitchell with the Miami Heat, incredibly quick, good shooter. Trae Young, incredibly quick, very gifted passer. TJ McConnell, incredibly quick. Jalen Brunson, incredibly quick. Are you seeing a pattern here? All of those guys possess 1% lateral quickness. If you want to go back to a guy like Nate Robinson won the dunk contest. I don't think I need to say anything else there. They're all insanely quick or incredibly explosive. Braden Smith is neither of those things. Drafting a 5'10" guard without elite explosive traits in today's NBA is like bringing a finely crafted pocket knife to a modern laser fight. Sure, the knife is sharp, but you're fundamentally outmatched on scale. Now, Braden Smith is a lot of things that I like. He's smart. He's a good passer. He's a good shooter. You have to be those things to play in the NBA. But when you're 5'10", you have to be able to do all of those things: pass, shoot, be smart, be able to process. You have to be able to do all those things and a little bit more. Jalen Brunson's 6'1", and he just led the New York Knicks to a title. Why? Because he's incredibly quick, and he's a good shooter, and he's smart, and he's a good passer. He's also got great footwork playing off 2 feet. I don't think Braden Smith is anywhere near as quick or as good off 2 feet as Jalen Brunson, and I know that's not a fair comparison because we don't expect for Braden Smith to be as good as Jalen Brunson or anything like that. It's just an example. Athletically, he's not the same. I keep seeing this nonsense about Braden Smith being the TJ McConnell replacement in a couple of years. Hey, that's what happens when you're a short white guy. You just get compared to other short white guys when your games aren't anything alike. It's like comparing a Mazda Miata to a Jeep Wrangler just because they both happen to be convertibles. Their actual mechanics and purposes couldn't be more different. Braden Smith and TJ Connell couldn't be more different. The shot selection is completely different. The majority of TJ McConnell's shots come within 10 feet of the rim. Braden Smith loves his dribble pull-up going right at the elbow, and he takes threes. He doesn't really score at the rim. He's also not as fast, quick, or big as TJ McConnell. TJ McConnell is 6'1", 190 pounds. That's not a small person. Braden Smith is 5'10", 167 pounds, according to his measurements at the NBA Combine. You can see that guy at the gas station. Not hard to find. He's 3 inches shorter and 20 pounds lighter. That's a big difference. If you're that small in the NBA, you have to have something athletically that allows you to match the size that you're playing against. And look, let's say Braden Smith figures out a way to be a good offensive player in the NBA. Very possible because he's a good shooter and he's smart. Who's that guy going to guard? Guards in the NBA are 6'3" and up for the most part. Other small guards like TJ McConnell and Jalen Brunson would leave Braden Smith in the dust with their quickness. It doesn't make sense to me. Okay? That's another difference, by the way, between TJ McConnell and Braden Smith. TJ McConnell is a much better defender than Braden Smith. Do you know why? Because he's 3 inches taller, 20 pounds heavier, and possesses way more lateral quickness. Okay? And I was talking to some people about the move last night, and they were talking about the energy that TJ McConnell brings and how he plays with a high level of intensity. And he does that. And, like, that's awesome. Love that for TJ McConnell. And they, comparing that to Braden Smith, he can be the same kind of energy guy off the bench who runs the offense and does those things. Sure. But just because you want to do something and you have intensity and fire and passion doesn't mean that you're going to be able to do that. There is an athletic baseline required to be able to play in the NBA. Braden Smith doesn't meet it. Here's another bad example for you. I'm 5'8". When I was in high school, loved basketball. What's that look for? You don't think I'm 5'8"?
No.
I'm 5'8", promise.
Okay.
Promise.
Okay.
I think if you can go back and find my college listing, I'm listed at 5'10", which is absurd. Anyway, I'm in high school. I went to a very gifted basketball high school. Okay. Everybody that played in my high school went on to play college basketball at some level. The starting point guard, my freshman through junior year, later would become the first player since Chris Paul to lead the ACC in points per game and assists per game in the same season. So that's the kind of high school that I went to. I was very good friends with those guys, and they would invite me out to play pickup. And every time I went out there, man, no one played harder than I did. But guess what? All of those guys went to play college basketball, and I didn't. You know why? Because they were all just more athletic than I was. It didn't matter how hard I tried. It didn't matter how smart I was. I simply did not meet the talent requirements to be able to hang with those guys on a basketball court. And as smart as Braden Smith is, and as skilled as he does not meet the base requirements of being an NBA basketball player. I don't think that he's quick enough, and he's not going to be able to guard anybody. The only nice thing about this move is Cam Jones is gone, and this move is going to save the Pacers a little bit of money. They're about $5 million away from having the full mid-level exception available to them. We're going to have Tony East on at 1 o'clock. He'll elaborate on that a little bit more. That is the one nice thing about this, because he was never going to work out with the Pacers. Maybe he can figure it out in Chicago. Seems like a nice guy. I hope it all works out for him. But ultimately, this feels like a lateral move. They basically traded a broken lawnmower for a weed whacker that's missing a power cord. They moved a guard that wasn't going to amount to anything, Cam Jones, for an undersized point guard that hasn't played off the ball in 4 years and will likely amount to nothing. That's not exactly what you're looking for when you're trying to make it back to the NBA Finals. I would have preferred it if they tried to trade into a higher pick in the second round Because I think one of those first four guys that came off the board would have had the potential to maybe help the Pacers and maybe legitimately have the option of being a TJ McConnell replacement, whether it was Isaiah Evans out of Duke, Malik Thomas out of Arkansas, Bruce Thornton out of Ohio State, or Richie Saunders out of BYU. All those guys meet the minimum level requirements of being an NBA player. I think all those guys would have had a better chance of making an impact for the Pacers, whether it's this year or down the line, compared to what Braden Smith is going to do this year or down the line. Braden Smith is going to sell tickets in Noblesville. You know, you'll have people from West Lafayette driving into Noblesville to watch the Boom play. It'll be a great time. They'll take their 4-year-old children. It'll be great. That's about all he's going to do. And then he's going to go to Europe, and he's going to make a lot of money in Europe. So congratulations to him on that. I don't think this is going to work, clearly. Now, if it does work, because, you know, I'm willing to crack the door open and think that I could maybe be wrong. I don't think that I'm going to be wrong. But hey, maybe I will be. The only reason why this might work, is he can really shoot the basketball. And that is something that you have to be able to do to play in the NBA. He is a very good shooter. Okay, he's going to go from playing primarily on the ball to being primarily off the ball. For my Purdue fans that don't watch the NBA, think Fletcher Lawyer. Now, they're not going to run him off screens and like run plays for him, but Braden Smith's going to be more of a floor spacer. Okay, he's going to turn into more of a catch and shoot player, because when you currently look at this Pacers bench, they don't have any real creators on the floor, which probably means that the Pacers are going to stagger Pascal Siakam and Tyrese Halliburton, have at least one of them on the floor at all times, which means that the offense is going to run through one of those two players. Okay, which means when Braden Smith does play, he's going to play off the ball. And to his credit, over 4 years at Purdue, he shot 44% on catch and shoot threes. That's going to give him a chance. That will give him a chance to be an NBA player, his ability to space the floor and knock down threes. But the lack of size is just a major concern. Okay? You can find other good catch and shoot guys that are 6'4" and move better than Braden Smith does. Okay? That's going to be his issue. I don't see it working out. The Pacers are going to have to look somewhere else to find a guy who can come in off the bench and get some buckets for him. Right now, in terms of guys who can get a bucket, because I do think this is going to be a problem for the Pacers next year. In terms of guys who can get a bucket on their own, they really only have 3. It's Tyrese Halliburton, Pascal Siakam, and 34-year-old TJ McConnell. Okay, Halliburton would rather create for others, though, than himself, and he's coming off of an Achilles tear, so we'll see kind of how his self-creation looks early on. TJ McConnell is going to be 35. Not great. Pascal Siakam, going to be a bucket really no matter what this year. They need a fourth guy who can go get a basket for them. Bennedict Mathurin was so important to them last year, and part of that value came from his ability with 6 seconds left on the shot clock to tell everybody to calm down, give me the basketball, and he would go to work, and he would find a way to get a bucket. The Pacers need someone else who can do that. Okay, and until they find that, I think they're really going to struggle to come out of the Eastern Conference. So we'll see. I'm not a fan of this move really at all, but hey, I've been wrong before. Maybe I'll be wrong here as well. I know Otter Creek threw something in the YouTube chat on the LaMelo Ball trade. I've got thoughts on it. Very interesting. I don't blame the Hornets for moving off of LaMelo Ball at all. He's just not a serious basketball player. And when you compare that with the fact that he's dealt with a lot of injuries, I think it makes sense to move off of him, especially since I thought Brandon Miller was their best player last year. You just didn't notice it because LaMelo Ball had the basketball all the time. Anyway, Con Knipple as well. Obviously, a guy that you can build around, very much about all of the right things. I'm much more interested in it On the Minnesota side, feels a little desperate. You know, we got the report a couple days ago on Anthony Edwards not exactly being happy that they traded Karl Anthony Towns for Julius Randle. Hard to blame him there. Um, yeah, so I have many more thoughts on that trade. I'll get to them later on in the show. But we got Zach Pereles from CBS Sports. He's going to join the show. We're going to talk NBA Draft and World Cup as Team USA gets ready to take on Turkey, as I like to call them, tonight at 10 p.m. Can't wait for it. So Zach Pereles of CBS Sports joins the show in 4 minutes.
If it's in today's sports world, it's here. The real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
NBA draft wrapped up last night. The Pacers made a choice going and getting Braden Smith. We had some other news as well. LaMelo Ball traded this morning. Are the Hornets now a team that could go get Jaylen Brown, who is currently being shopped around? There's a lot going on in the NBA world. We got soccer going on as well. And now we bring in the one and only Zach Pereles from CBS Sports joining the show now. Zach, what's going on? How was your vacation, man? I know you said that you were gone a little bit last week.
Yeah, got to take advantage of a little bit of time off here, running out of time before NFL is back. So, yeah, did some hiking, some exploring. It was all good.
Nice. Love hearing that. So you got back in time, though, for the NBA draft. I want to get to that. But first, the LaMelo Ball trade breaking this morning. What was your reaction to that?
Surprised, for sure. That was not as much return as I thought. That was the big takeaway for me. LaMelo Ball, there are faults. There are faults in his game. There are faults in some of the off-court habits. But he is a tremendous talent and a guy who was really good last year and continued to show growth. And the return for me was really surprising. I love it for the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves kind of felt like a team to me that needed some offensive firepower, and it just felt like Anthony Edwards had to do so much heavy lifting. He can be really, really good off of the ball, like better catch and shoot player. He's gotten much better throughout his career in that aspect, but it felt like it was so much of him playing point guard. Now he can be off the ball. And on the other side, you're looking for a team that has really good defenders around LaMelo Ball because his interest on that side of the ball can wax and wane a little bit, to put it nicely. The Timberwolves are set up to be the perfect team that can help cover for his defensive lapses. This is why you see like how valuable Rudy Gobert is. You can go after these all offensive guys. And let's not forget, like, the all offense that LaMelo Ball provides can be tremendous. He's a terrific passer. He has great size. There are times when he puts a lot of pressure on the rim. I wish that he would do it a little bit more consistently. But in general, like, this is a big win in my book for the Timberwolves. And it's just a really tough pill to swallow. If you are a Hornets fan, this seemed like a guy who was a star. His jersey sales were huge. Every kid wants to be LaMelo Ball right now, and now he is a Timberwolf.
He is. Our boss here, his kids live in Charlotte. And I immediately texted him. I was like, I hope your kids are okay, man. Because they love LaMelo. A lot of interesting stuff there. So I really kind of like it for both teams. Because when you look at LaMelo, I think he can be unserious. That's, I think, the nicest way to put it. I thought Brandon Miller was their best player last year, probably in the minority on that. But I think this gives them the opportunity to build around Khan, who was really good, and Brandon Miller. I like the pairing with Anthony Edwards for all the reasons that you said. As long as, because I do think that the best aspect of LaMelo's game is his passing. And I think he's now in a place where he's going to be able to do that a lot. I'm with you. I do wish he would attack the rim a little bit more, but I really like the trade for both sides. You did mention some of the off-the-court stuff with LaMelo, which I think is a fair question to have. I have a question about that, though. Would you rather be driven to the airport by LaMelo Ball or a Georgia football player?
Oh, gosh, I'd cancel the flight.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, great call. Okay, so we got that covered. The NBA draft happened last night. The Pacers traded for Braden Smith. I wasn't a fan of it. We can start there and then kind of broaden it out into the first round and things. What'd you make of that move from the Pacers?
Yeah, last night, when I was just the last couple of nights, first time as a 2-night affair in the NBA draft, these second round picks, they're such swing and hopes. And the thing that you like about Braden Smith is obviously a ton of college production. You're hoping that he can come in here and maybe be like TJ McConnell 2.0. Obviously, he's a terrific passer. He's a guy who's played for a long time. Like, if you need a few spot minutes here and there, maybe he can provide them. So, my biggest thing with the Pacers was just that they fell out of the first round, and it's hard to ever really get past that with this draft. But Braden Smith, yeah, there's a lot of things that I would be worried about with him progressing to the NBA game. But on the other hand, like, maybe you get a reliable backup point guard. And when you look in the second round, like, how many of those guys are going to reach a level significantly higher than like decent backup? So I don't hate the idea. In general, it's like second round. To me, it's like, did you love your team's 6th round pick in the NFL draft? Like, it's really hard for me to go one way or the other. I think that the Pacers are, they did a decent job trying to make out the best they could after a really disappointing lottery draw.
Joined by Zach Pereles from CBS Sports talking about the NBA draft last night. Yeah, I didn't like the pick just because, like you said, when you take a guy in the second round, it's really like a swing, And to kind of use your comparison to taking someone in like the 6th or 7th round in the NFL draft, the Colts took Deion Burks in the 7th round, and like the overwhelming reaction to that was like a little small, but like very explosive, great athlete. Like there is a path where this works because of his athletic ability. And when I look at Braden Smith, I'm like 5'10", not blinding quick. I would have rather have taken like a 7-footer from Senegal who started playing basketball at 17. Because if you're 7 feet tall, like there is a path to like carving out a role. Whereas I think Braden Smith's lack of size and athleticism probably dooms him to a career in Europe. I think.
Yeah, there's definitely a chance. I think that it's so hard, and I'd never really envisioned Braden Smith as like a guy who's obviously like his NBA career will likely not reach the peaks of his college career. I still think that there's a chance. I think that one of the things that I love about the Pacers is like they will space the floor and give, obviously at their best, like Tyrese Halliburton, a lot of passing options. And Braden Smith, we'll see what he can do. Like Tyrese Halliburton, obviously you get the size, but he's not a crazy athlete. He never was. So maybe if you can throw in Braden Smith, he's certainly in a great position to learn how to use the most, how to get the best out of what he has or doesn't have in terms of his athleticism. But his skill is really high up there. His passing skill is really high up there. And yeah, you hope that he can become a second, third point guard, one of these guys where the Pacers certainly could have swung bigger and maybe, taken a guy who has all the physical traits. But again, a lot of those guys don't work out. So maybe we'll see it. Maybe we won't. I can appreciate a little bit, though, they're going with a guy who has a lot of fans obviously built in the state. Yeah. And maybe he can be in 2 years. He can be your Halliburton backup, and maybe not.
I think that's the ceiling. I hope it works out. I just don't think it will. Yeah. Just like you said, like most second round picks don't. So we'll see. What'd you think of the top of the draft? So you kind of know where I'm at on it. I liked Cam Boozer more than anybody else in this draft class. With that being said, hard to argue against AJ or Darren Peterson going in front of him. What'd you think?
Yeah, I was a proponent of Darren Peterson at number 1. Obviously, I'm here in DC, so there was a lot of hype around the Wizards, a lot of hope around the Wizards for the first time in, half a decade, a full decade at this point. So yeah, I do think that AJ DeBonce is a really, really talented player, an excellent scorer. The pressure he puts on the rim is something that the Wizards just have not had. Like they don't shoot a lot of free throws and they don't like finish at the rim a ton. Even like in their front court, Alex Sarr has kind of been developing into more of a 3-point shooter, and he can do some stuff in the post, but really I'm going to be interested to see what the Wizards do with Anthony Davis. It feels like it's going to be hard for them to space the floor with Anthony Davis and Alex Sarr playing at the same time. And then you even throw in a guy like Bilal Coulibaly. There's just not enough spacing. But I do think like you can't really go wrong, I think, with DeBonce over Peterson. And I'm with you. I think Cam Boozer's awesome. Like just a really good basketball player. His floor to me is so high. And I thought the Grizzlies did just a really good job in this draft. When I was preparing for today, I was picking out some winners and losers. And just like everything that the Grizzlies did made sense. Like being number 3 there, you get a guy who is a really good basketball player, really good culture guy as well. Having a dad who played in the NBA forever, like you're going to get a really good professional player who's just going to be reliable. Kareem Lopez is a guy who just turned 19. Like the Grizzlies have time to build that up. So I love that there. And then also getting Isaiah Stewart made a lot of sense to me. I think that he's a better player than what he was traded for. And obviously I get the Pistons trying to clear up some money and maybe make a bigger move, but don't discount the Grizzlies getting him. And now you can pair Cam Boozer with a rim protector and either him or Zach Edey in terms of he doesn't have to be the guy protecting the rim, because Cam Boozer, that's not really his game. He's really physical, very strong, very smart, but he's not like a crazy athletic rim protector. So I think that they've done a good job giving him a couple of running mates in the front court. He's going to be a good player. He's going to be a really good presence, I think, from day one. And he has won everywhere he's been, I guess, except for Duke. And even at Duke, he did a lot of winning. He just didn't win at all.
Could have gotten to the Final Four.
Right.
You could argue should have. Just a crazy thing there. Again, joined by Zach Pereles from CBSSports.com. Does a great job covering the NFL, college basketball, all of it. I'm with you. Really enjoyed the Grizzlies draft. I really liked the Bulls draft as well. Not only did they move off of Braden Smith. Sorry, that's a joke. But they also took Caleb Wilson, who is a very raw prospect, but like I think him playing with Josh Giddey early is going to be really good for him. Just a guy who's going to be able to set him up when he's running to the rim as he develops the jump shot and the handle and those things. But very underrated pick. They took Dalen Swain at 15, who I love. And I know that people aren't crazy about the shooting, but like when you look at his time, his 2 years at Xavier, his 1 year at Texas, the free throw shooting and the 3-point shooting gets better every year. And so player trending upward, 6'8", can really handle the ball. Loved their draft as well. What do you make of Caleb Wilson and Swain?
I mean, Caleb Wilson, you've seen him be tremendous. I love when you see, like, a reason I wanted Peterson over DeBonsa for the Wizards was that it felt like Peterson, every time they played, was the better player. Caleb Wilson's been gone toe-to-toe with everyone in this draft class. Obviously had a really, really great game against Duke before unfortunately missing the second one later down the road. But I love him as a player. I love him as a competitor. I love that the Bulls, like, how many times did we talk about the Bulls being like the 9 seed in the East and are they going to make the play-in? So I love that they had some self-awareness and they were like, hey, we're still a bit away. We're going to draft a guy with really immense potential. And then, at 15, Dalen Swain, like, those are the types of guys you want to take a swing on in that range. I think that I have a little bit more trust in the Bulls process than I have for, again, like the past 10 years when they've just been kind of trying to cling on to we're in the middle and we can, host a couple playoff games in our inevitable sweep in the first round. So I can appreciate that they take a longer range view of things. Obviously they've offloaded a lot of guys in the past couple of years. So it's finally like, hey, we don't have to be good right now. We can give our guys a little bit of a runway here. And Caleb Wilson, like, I'm really impressed by him. The defense has to get better, and he has the physical tools, skill set to be a better defender than he was. So I liked what the Bulls did. And I just hope that they don't try to rush things. Like, it's okay. You can take your lumps for a year or two and hope that your players improve. And I think that they did a good job balancing that.
I agree. Very intrigued. Because, like, I think the Bulls are a lot like the Jets and the Giants in the NFL. It's like when the Jets and Giants are good, the NFL is just better. I think it's the same thing with Chicago. They haven't had a real star since Derrick Rose, 15 years ago, which is crazy. Again, joined by Zach Pereles of CBSSports.com, talking about the draft. And we are going to talk about the World Cup here in a second. Since you're in D.C., I've got people in my YouTube comments. They're like, hey, what does he think about this Trae Young contract?
What do I think about it? I think it was expensive to a point where I don't like it. I also realize that the Wizards have been abysmal they've been really, really bad. They've had the worst record in the NBA for the last 3-4 years. I understand Trae Young is like, hey, it's expensive, but also like we need a floor raiser who can like get the right people in place. I think there's a lot of excitement about the Wizards right now, and a lot of that excitement doesn't take into account that the Wizards were legitimately horrible this season. Like, they have some exciting pieces. They are young outside of Trae Young and Anthony Davis. There is hope, but let's not get ahead of ourselves here. I think Trae Young, that contract, it's going to be difficult to stomach, hopefully in a couple of years when their younger guys are actually showing some progress. But Trae Young, like, they need a lead guard, especially around all they have a decent number of wings here now who kind of need someone to conduct it. I get that it's expensive. I get that maybe they didn't need to go as big as they did, but at some point I think that they have to realize that, or, people who are really anti this have to realize, like, the Wizards need someone to make sure that all of these young guys can play in an effective system. It can't just be a mess out there. And unfortunately, Bub Carrington hasn't really had the start to the career that he wanted and that the Wizards would have wanted for him. Like, if you don't have Trae Young, it's a mess. So I'm excited to see where that is. Obviously, there are defensive limitations. Trae Young's only 27, which, you're going to be worried about him when he's 30, 31. But for now, like, if it's 2 years of Trae Young providing a high floor for that offense, getting guys involved, spreading the ball around, and especially if Anthony Davis isn't there, which to me, I don't think he will be, I'm okay with it. And I get the hesitation, and I have hesitation about it, but I get keeping him around. And at some point, if you have to pay a premium for a guy who's probably not worth it, even if the waterfall effects happen as they should, then you end up getting the full worth of that contract.
It's such an interesting thing. And I do think that there are people, when they look at the contract, there are things that they aren't thinking about. So, like, you were talking earlier about LaMelo Ball, right? And how, like, he was like the star in Charlotte, and kids are like, I want to be like LaMelo. Wizards haven't had that in forever. Like, I was there 2 summers ago, and we walked by the arena, my wife and I did, and I was like, I just want to go in there and just kind of like look around. So we ended up walking into the shop. They had Bub Carrington jerseys for sale. People here in Indy probably don't even know who that is. And Wes Unseld, which, like, Finals MVP, love that for Wes. But, like, if you're selling Wes Unseld jerseys, probably means that you don't have a star. So I think from, like, a business perspective, probably smart of them to keep him for that reason. But defensively, obviously there are questions, but, like, you talked about it earlier with LaMelo, there's so many guys in Minnesota that, like, you can cover up for his lack of defensive engagement. I think you can do the same thing for Trae Young in Washington if Anthony Davis stays there. We'll see if that happens or not. My question is, like, Trae Young really likes to dribble the ball for 18 seconds. Mm-hmm. And I was making a joke after round 1. I was like, I can't wait to turn the Wizards on and watch Trae Young not pass the ball to AJ. So as long as they get that under control, I think that he'll be fine. Because like you said, like, he's a floor raiser. Having a lead guard is really important when you have young players. Would I have wanted to pay him $58 million when he's 31? Because there's no way he's not picking that up. Probably not. But when you're a bad team, like, you have to overpay. That's just the reality of it.
Yes. And if Trae Young being there means that AJ DeBonsa is 10% better than he would be if Trae Young isn't there, you take that trade-off every time. Yeah. And if that makes Bilal Coulibaly 10% better and Kaishan George 10% better, like, they have a lot of guys who aren't full-time ball handlers. And yes, you're right. Like, some of the Trae Young tendencies are frustrating on both ends of the court, but at his best, like, he is an elite offensive producer. He gets guys open looks. He puts guys in good areas to succeed. I think that like his ability to throw lobs to Alex Sarr, like if he raises the level of all of the young guys on the Wizards right now, his job he will have gotten the job done that the Wizards needed him to.
Absolutely. Real quick here before I let you go. I love soccer, like tracking the Premier League every year. Go Reds, Liverpool. Please bring back Mo Salah. We'll see if it happens or not. It's like gibberish to non-Premier League fans. Anyway, I've really enjoyed watching the U.S. men's national team. They're playing Turkey tonight. I'm going to stay up late and watch the whole thing. Are you a soccer guy? And how excited are you about the U.S. men's national team at this point?
Yeah, I am. I follow the Premier League throughout the year, and I've followed the U.S. men's national team for as long as I've been a sports fan. Yeah, really excited about the U.S. men's national team. Like when they opened the tournament and beat Paraguay, I was like, this is legitimately the best I've ever seen this team play. And I remember the days of like they missed the World Cup 8 years ago because they couldn't beat Trinidad and Tobago. Like they just couldn't like do things that the United States should be able to do. I'm really excited just by the amount of attacking talent that they have provided, the number of strikers that they tried to run through during the 2010s and early 2020s. Just it wasn't up to the level of being a team that can score 4 goals in a game. Like it wasn't up to the level that it needed to be a team that can be like a top 20 team in the world. Now they have that talent, obviously Christian Pulisic, but like Fuller and Balogun has been tremendous this World Cup. They have some depth up there. I've been really impressed with Malik Tillman. Tim Weah can provide some stuff as well. So just the level of talent has gone up so significantly. And I think that and hope that Americans can appreciate that this was a team like that has been bad for a long time. And I know that the U.S. with all the people that it has should not be that bad at soccer, but it's been the 5th most popular sport in the country for a long time. So to see the progress that the Federation has made, Mauricio Pochettino has just been a complete revelation. So when you put the investment in, it shows that, the U.S. Soccer Federation has put in the investment monetarily, and the players have followed in kind, really good improvement. And I'm hoping that there's a lot of 6 and 7-year-olds across the nation that are saying, oh, soccer's pretty cool. So the 1994 World Cup, I actually just read about this, was really like a huge thing for the U.S. to get, even though like soccer wasn't huge in the U.S. That helped spur. Now what we're seeing is a lot of guys here 30 plus years later. Now you're getting some of those guys who took an interest in soccer. They had kids and raised their kids on soccer, and that generation is coming through now. So maybe we'll get another generation here who's seeing the U.S. host a really amazing tournament, and their kids are turning to soccer as well.
Yeah, that's a real possibility. They're like legitimately good too. That helps. Yeah. They're a lot of fun to watch. Last thing for you, Zach, and I'll let you go. So they're obviously going to rest guys tonight. Everybody on a yellow card, we already know, isn't playing. I think Gio Reyna, you could argue, is the most talented player on the roster, and he doesn't start. He's got some problems. He also plays in the midfield, which is really crowded with guys like Weston McKennie. I'm psyched to watch him play tonight. Is there a guy who's going to play tonight for Team USA that normally doesn't, that you're intrigued by and are excited to watch play?
Yeah, I mean, Reyna would definitely top that. I'm going to be interested to see, too, is Ricardo Pepi going to get the start up top? And could he be a guy where, let's say the U.S. is tied 1-1 in the round of 32, like, would you trust to give him 30 minutes up there? So I'd love to see a good showing from obviously Reyna and Pepi, as well as 2 guys as you're looking at as like, hey, if it's a close game or if we're down a goal in a knockout round, like, can we plug this guy in and hope that he gives us something? So big stages tonight for both of those guys.
Absolutely. Zach, what are you working on right now? What are you releasing with training camp like a month away?
Yeah, just talked to Mark Andrews about Lamar Jackson. That story came out today. Really fun story. A lot of changes in Baltimore. And then going forward, we'll have a lot of training camp preview stuff. When we get down to 50 days until kickoff, I'll have 50 under the radar guys. So still a long ways away, but it's getting closer every day. And looking forward to it.
Sounds good. Zach, thank you so much for your time, man, as always.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You got it. That is Zach Pereles. You can go read his stuff at cbssports.com. Does a great job covering pretty much everything, man. Does an excellent job. Mainly covers the NFL for CBS, so we'll have him on even more during the football season. LaMelo Ball got traded this morning. Win-win. Very rarely happens anytime a trade is made in any sport. I think that is what happened with this trade between the Hornets and the Timberwolves. I'll explain why in 3 minutes.
It may, one day, be a must-listen for sports enthusiasts.
Yeah, and monkeys might fly out of my butt.
Uh-oh. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Yeah. Big thanks to Zach Pereles in that last segment. Talking NBA draft, Braden Smith. Will it work out? Probably not. But hey, we'll see. LaMelo Ball, that is the big news this morning, traded to the Timberwolves. LaMelo Ball and Josh Green, good wing defender, go to Minnesota in exchange for Naz Reid, a 2033 unprotected first-round pick. Question, if the pick is 6 years away, is it even real? I don't know. They also get, the Hornets also get 3 first-round pick swaps in 2028, 2029, and 2030. They also get 3 second-round picks as well. So it's an interesting thing. I am not a LaMelo Ball fan. I think he dribbles the ball way too much for someone who is as gifted of a passer as he is. I think he takes way too many bad shots for someone who is as gifted of a driver as he is. So, like, watching LaMelo just makes me upset because all the things that he's good at, he doesn't do them enough. I think for Minnesota, this is a high-risk, high-reward move. Because when you look at the history of LaMelo Ball, he's had some injury issues. Like, when you go through his history, like last year, I think is like the first year he was really healthy. And, you know, I mean, that's part of why the Hornets were as good as they were. But, like, when you go through his history, like, only played 51 games. He's only played 70 games twice in his career, last year and his second year in the league. That's it. So not super reliable in terms of his ability to stay healthy. He's very ball dominant, which is going to be nice for Anthony Edwards in some ways because Anthony Edwards is a guy who got doubled a lot, and he'd have to give the basketball up to a guy who couldn't create or take advantage of 4-on-3 scenarios because that's what happens whenever a guy gets doubled. So you have a guy in LaMelo now who's going to be able to kind of take advantage of those opportunities. The question is he going to give the ball to Anthony Edwards? I'm not convinced that he is. Okay, he's never been the second best player on his team, which he is now. And I'm very intrigued to see how he deals with that. New roles are sometimes the best thing for a player. Maybe being the second option will be better for LaMelo. I think it will be because, you know, Coach Finch, who's an excellent NBA head coach, he didn't play around, man. If LaMelo's taking bad shots, not giving the ball to Anthony Edwards, Chris Finch will say something and he will do something about it. So I think LaMelo is going to play for the right coach for him, a guy who's a little bit tougher on players. So I think that's a good thing for him. It's a very interesting thing. Rudy Gobert now becomes even more important. Not having a power forward who can stretch the floor is going to be interesting because you kind of have to have that alongside Rudy Gobert. That's what Naz Reid was. He obviously gets sent to Charlotte in this trade. So they have to find a stretch four. I think Rui Hachimura makes a lot of sense for them. Bigger power forward who can guard and stretch the floor. So they need to address that because they don't have a power forward on their roster right now. But if they can figure that out, the Timberwolves are at a minimum going to be very interesting going forward. For New Orleans, for Charlotte, I really like this. Naz Reid fits in pretty much perfectly. He can shoot, he can guard, he can put the ball on the floor, he can really rebound, and he has a ton of size. Love that for them from that perspective because right now they've got this roster filled with guys who can dribble, pass, and shoot. Like their point guard through power forwards up and down their roster can all do that. And then they have centers who just rebound the crap out of the ball. And they drafted another one with the 14th overall pick in Steinbach out of Washington. So really like what they're building. I like that they're going to focus it more now on Brandon Miller and Con Knippel because, look, I personally thought that Brandon Miller was their best player last year. You just didn't notice because LaMelo always had the ball. Right, so now we're going to get to see Con Knippel with the ball in his hands more. Same thing with Brandon Miller. I really like this for them going forward. So Minnesota, they're all in, trying to maximize the Anthony Edwards window as they should. And so going to be very interesting. I think Charlotte is going to be a lot of fun to watch this year. And if LaMelo Ball buys into being more of a facilitator and understands that he's not the guy in Minnesota, then I think that'll make Minnesota a very good team. That is very fun to watch. We will see how it all goes down. Tony East of Locked On Pacers is going to join us to talk about the Braden Smith draft acquisition. We will probably not talk very much about the Caitlin Clark drama because I don't care for it. Sorry, just not my thing. Basketball is a physical sport. Referees suck in every sport. So just not for me. Sorry. So we'll talk Pacers, their draft pick, probably a little bit more about the LaMelo trade as well. We'll talk about that at 1 o'clock. But first, Chris, as your sports update.
Thanks, Jonathan. Here's a few stories that are trending this hour. Of course, we know that the Pacers sent some cash and the number 38 pick in 2025. They had Cam Jones sent to the Bulls for the number 38 pick in last night's draft for Purdue's Braden Smith. Fellow Purdue teammate Trey Kaufman-Wren was also drafted at number 59 by the Minnesota Timberwolves. Former IU players Lamar Wilkerson and Sam Alexis were not drafted, but will join the Oklahoma City Thunder's Summer League to compete for a roster spot. Indianapolis native and former Pike High School standout Ryan Conwell was drafted 37th overall by the Thunder, but was then traded to the Miami Heat. So congrats to him. The Indiana Fever fell to the Phoenix Mercury last night at Cambridge, 111-109. Mercury forward Alyssa Thomas was caught applying her fist to Caitlin Clark's neck and throat and was not called for a foul, causing an uproar about officiating today on social media. Clark did leave the game early in the second half due to a flare-up of a lingering back issue and did not return, finishing her night with 13 points and 3 assists. Kelsey Mitchell also exploded for 30 points, and Aaliyah Boston finished with 23 points and 9 rebounds. Finally, the NFL announced next year's NFL draft dates for Washington, D.C. Mark your calendars for April 29th to May 1st in 2027. That's what's trending this hour. More of the Real Jonathan Smith Show. And Tony East joins after the break on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430.
Let's do this. It's the Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Hour number 2 of the Real Jonathan Smith Show getting off in a big way from Locked On Pacers. We've got very good friend of the show, Tony East, joining to talk about, Braden Smith getting drafted last night by the Pacers, Caitlin Clark getting throat punched, all sorts of stuff. Going to be a great time with Tony. All right, let's start with the Pacers trade. I know everyone is reacting to the selection of Braden Smith, but I saw you tweeting a little bit about it last night. I know that you've got a Locked On Pacers episode up about it as well. But what are some of the benefits of this trade beyond moving off Cam Jones and bringing in Braden Smith?
Yeah, you nailed the big part of it. Moving off of Cam Jones was big here. Like, Jonathan, I made this joke on my podcast last night. Like, if they did this exact trade and picked you or me at 38, I would have thought it was a good move, right? Like that because they got – so Jones had a half-guaranteed contract for next year. And I don't want to get too into, like, the really cap dorky stuff here, but, like, they're so close to the tax that flexibility really mattered for them in terms of building out their team and potentially getting upgrades. And they got off of him without having to give up a pick. They're getting worse picks now in 2028 and 2030, but they didn't give up any pick. And that really matters. As you saw this year, they had to give up stuff to get into the draft because they didn't have a pick at all. So I thought that was a really good trade to be able to identify a team that they could be partners with, to be able to find a price that makes sense. We'll see how good Smith is. Like, the passing is insane. His floor general IQ stuff is really good. He's obviously short. He's shorter than me, right? So they'll have some work to do in the NBA to overcome that. But I thought there's no way they could have traded for a pick and had Jones on the roster this year. That would have just been too much of a roster crunch. That they were able to do it in the same trade, I thought was a really good move. So I think it was a great trade. Well, we can talk about the merits of Braden Smith and what he can do, but I think that's really good stuff for the Pacers, who now have more room to add someone potentially in free agency or via trade with that extra roster spot.
We'll see how it goes, especially this is not a guy the Pacers are going to have enough money to add, but like guys like Norm Powell being available for future Detroit Piston, Norm Powell. Like, there's going to be some options on the free agency market, which is abnormal, but I think this is just kind of a result of having these aprons and things. But with Braden Smith specifically, I think all the good stuff's really obvious. Like you said, good passer, can really shoot it. Like, shot 44% on catch and shoot threes over 4 years at Purdue. Really smart player. I think the limitations are just as obvious. 5'10", 160 pounds. I have a hard time buying into a guy like that, even though he is really smart and he can really shoot it. What do you think his role for the Pacers kind of looks like over the next couple of years? Yeah,
sounds like he might be on a two-way, which is, interesting for a guy picked at 38. Maybe he got a 2-year two-way or something, but I'll be fascinated to see what their plan for him development-wise is. On one hand, he is like the perfect guy for him to study is now his teammate, right? Figure out how to beat TJ McConnell in every aspect of your game. TJ McConnell is maybe 3 inches taller than him. Like, that's a possible height range to me. So it's not going to be an easy copy, but that is a guy to study if you're Braden Smith, because he's also a great passer who reads the game really well and has found ways to overcome his height. I agree that the height is a thing. Like, I've joked before, I would never draft you if you're shorter than me about any NBA player. And the Pacers just did that. They drafted somebody shorter than me. So they're gonna have to figure this out. I will say, like, Braden Smith came to Indy for a draft workout and he answered questions about, what he is good at and what his limitations are. And, like, he did not run from it at all. He's like, look, I'd be stupid to hide from my size and, like, not tell teams that when I'm answering questions of them in the process as well. Like, he knows, in his case, and his pitch is basically, he's been shorter than everybody else forever. And he's always found ways to be good, right? He got better in college as a passer every year. His efficiency improved a lot this past season. Purdue was always really good with him running the helm. So that's his pitches. He's figured it out before, and he'll keep doing it and finding a way. And that's believable. I believe that. The NBA has taller players and faster players, so it'll be even harder to find those solutions. Like, he'll only be able to guard 1, maybe 2 positions in the NBA. But if you can read the game well, you have a chance, right? I totally get why he's a draftable prospect. He'll just have to figure out how to work around his size. And, it's not impossible. Like, everybody's going to be like, oh, Jalen Brunson just won a championship. He's not Jalen Brunson, right? He's just not. But can he follow, like, the McConnell path will be a commonly brought up one. Is there, Chris Paul was great on both ends. He was short. Kyle Lowry was great on both ends. He's short. Like, it's not impossible. It's totally not impossible. It's just hard. And he'll have to figure out how to turn his game into strengths, even with a huge size disadvantage. And so maybe a two-way is good because he can get reps against similar size guys that are huge in the G League, but not have to do it against NBA guys to learn so much on the fly for a contender.
Joined by Tony East, who does a great job covering the Pacers on Locked On Pacers. You can also read his writing on both the Pacers and the Fever at ForbesSports.com, the Circle City Spin, and the 9 Sports. Yeah, there's a part of me that's like, I kind of would have preferred it if they drafted like a 7'2" guy from Senegal who started playing basketball 4 years ago. Just because that's easier to like envision, like, yeah, like he could be like a good rebounder or whatever it is. My question for him with Braden Smith is like, there's like an athletic threshold that you have to be at to be able to play in the NBA. And even like watching TJ McConnell, right, who's undersized, he's incredibly quick. Like, you know, the old adage of like football players, he can make a guy miss in a phone booth. Like, that's kind of what I think when I see McConnell play. And maybe that just wasn't how Purdue wanted to play, so we didn't see that burst from Braden Smith. That's kind of my question. Like, is he going to have the lateral quickness? And obviously, like, defensively, who's he going to guard? All that stuff as well. I just am curious if he meets the athletic baseline to play in the league.
Yeah, you wonder about that too. And, you know, like some of the guys I thought of who are short and not athletic who have made it work, like, can he be like a Jordan McLaughlin? He's been a fine in rotations kind of player for years, but never more than that, right? Never started. A lot of teams want to have him. Nobody wants to play him a ton of minutes, right? Can he be like a Monte Morris, who the Pacers actually had for a second last year? He's not particularly athletic. He's a low mistakes kind of player who's made his career out of that in DC and in Denver. But, you know, a lot of those guys were really good, or they're both still in the league, at what they do. They don't mess up very much. And so that's going to be what it's about for Braden Smith is, yeah, you're right. Like, if he is not creating a lot, his passing is going to have to be exceptional. Can he read the game at that well? Can he find a way to be just okay on defense? Like, no one's ever going to be an awesome defender at that size. Just okay, right? That's all going to be what it's about. And there are lots of guys in the league who have found ways to do it, and he's going to have to be next. But, you know, there's a reason that it's a tough bet.
It is, but like you said, they've freed up some money here to maybe make a trade or sign a free agent. I know we did a thing on your podcast a while ago on shooting guards. Is there any? I feel like they need a wing, more specifically.
Yeah.
Like, when I look at their roster last year, I thought they had 4 guys who could just go get you a bucket or 2 years ago, between Halliburton, Siakam, Mathurin, and McConnell. Right now, I feel like they really only have 3, and Halliburton's coming off of a torn Achilles, and TJ McConnell's 34. Is there like I think they need like a shot creating wing. What do you think that they're looking for? There's obviously murmurs around Trey Murphy. I saw some like potential Herb Jones stuff today as well. What are they kind of looking for?
Yeah, that's it. That's what they need. They especially if it's a wing-sized player, but anybody who can create a shot would be huge for them without Mathurin in the fold anymore. And maybe Andrew Nembhard took some steps forward in that way, but not a ton last year. Like, how reliable is he really going to be in that? So anyone they'd add needs to do that. And by it, you know, Dustin Dopirak reported last night that Braden Smith is getting a 2-way, which is surprising to me. I'm not going to lie, but it would be nice for the Pacers in that they would have 2 roster spots now to potentially add a player who can do those kind of things to their team, whether that's just a veteran guard, whether that's a wing who makes, you know, $5 or $6 million or whatever. But the price of those players is going up. Like, I think what you're seeing right now, free agency is, one, if you're good, you're getting paid. Like, Kobe White just got almost $25 million a year. But now that it's harder to get talent because the draft is so random, teams are really going to do what I think they can to hold on to what they have. And so, you know, even these middling players, I think, are about to get a little bit more. You mentioned Norm Powell and the Pistons off the rip. Like, you know, I think he's going to get paid by somebody, whether it's a sign and trade, whether it's Detroit, whatever. So, you know, you need to find a way to get these guys when you can. It's not going to be easy, and the price keeps looking high. Like, it's going to take 15 to 20 million to get somebody who can actually create their own shot. The Pacers don't have that much. So they're going to be bargain hunting, certainly, unless they trade somebody away. And I think that's kind of the big question of their offseason now.
Yeah, if, you know, Chris asked me, my producer, he asked me a question yesterday that I thought was really interesting. If the Pacers did decide to move somebody It seems like it would likely be like Ben Shepherd or Jarris Walker. Would you have a preference? Do you have a preference between the two on which one they kept?
Man, it's hard to say. I mean, Jarris certainly seems like he has a higher ceiling, but Shep is the guy that, and he's been in 2 different rotations of teams that have made deep playoff runs and provide skills that every team theoretically needs. And so, it might just come down to finances. Like Walker's salary is higher than Shepherd. So if they need to clear up more space, I think they would trade Jarris. And if they need to trade, or if they need lesser space, they could trade Shepherd. But I do agree if you one of those 2 guys, it might just depend on what's available to them. Or honestly, like if a team is willing to trade them a good asset for either player, I think they might just do that, right? Instead of seeing, because then they're actually getting something in exchange. I wondered if there'd be a way for them to thread that needle at the draft. There clearly was not, or they might have done something. But yeah, I agree it'd be one of those 2 guys. And, if they trade Shepherd away, they could use the full mid-level, but they'd be done. Like that'd be their entire team. They'd only have minimums behind that. So I think it would, like Walker financially is more likely, but he's better. So it's hard to say exactly what's the best move for them, but it is definitely one of those 2 guys, if not even more, if some of their minimums want to get moved as well.
Joined by Tony East. Follow him on X at Tony R. East. He does a great job covering both the Pacers and the Fever. Speaking of the Fever, Tony, I know I'm supposed to. The Caitlin Clark stuff, it just kind of feels like we recycle the same conversations every year. Like I remember last year, you came on after the Fever played the Sky, and there's a play where Caitlin Clark goes to the rim, gets raked across the face, and everyone goes crazy. And then like the next night, some other player gets raked across the face, and nothing is said. And so yep. I don't want to talk about it, but what did you make of like her hurting her back last night, the officials not being great? Where you kind of sit with all that? I know Stephanie White went pretty crazy after their game.
Yep.
What'd you make of all that?
Yeah, there was clearly bad officiating in the game. Like the offensive foul on Mitchell that got her there. I think she fouled out on the play, and it was a key possession for the Fever. They didn't even get a shot up. Like clearly a flop by Clea Copper on that play. Caitlin Clark's the 3-point foul where she got landing space that got reviewed and was not deemed a flagrant. Like I was very surprised by that. There was definitely not a well officiated game in any way last night. But it's just so tough on plays like what you see when it looks like you're trying to see, is Alyssa Thomas trying to stand up and she accidentally hits her in the neck? Did she hit her on purpose? Like that's shocking. Like that was a crazy play. That's why Stephanie White blew up. And so when that happens and there's clearly bad calls and she leaves with an injury, like, of course, it's going to be a huge topic and a huge problem for the W to look at. They're going to have to look at these plays. So those were some unusual ones. Like usually, I talk about this. Like I'm pretty measured about this. I think it's ridiculous the way some of this stuff gets talked about. But like getting pushed in the neck is unique and rare. And the landing space foul getting reviewed and not getting upgraded, I thought was surprising. And, it was a lot for them. And so I get why they reacted the way they did. And of course, her back thing flares up again as a result of who knows what. So yeah, this is going to be a thing that drags into tomorrow and maybe even longer. We'll see. And that's just what the Fever is. Nothing's ever a one-day thing for them.
Never. It never is. Do you agree with Stephanie White when she says that Caitlin Clark is officiated differently than every other player in the league?
I mean, every coach is going to say that about their own player, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in some ways, yes. I mean, she's like the way to defend Caitlin Clark is physicality, right? And I think those kind of players in every league of basketball get the worst whistle because, if you actually called everything that fans wanted, you'd call 10,000 fouls a game on those kind of players who get defended in that way. And that's just never going to happen. And yeah, that's why I think Stephanie White's right. Like they have to, air quotes, protect whatever her or, be better about all that stuff. But yeah, she certainly deals with physicality because that's the best way to stop her. And last night it certainly was. It caused them some problems. But I don't know what the Fever necessarily can do about it. I think they also foul a lot, right? So that introduces whistles into the game in some ways. I think they lead the league in fouls even still. So there's a lot of layers to it. But yeah, she gets hard hits. It's just the nature of kind of how she plays. And she talks a lot of smack, right? If you're an opponent, you're going back at that player.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Last thing for you here, Tony, and I'll let you go. I know this is a busy time for you. LaMelo Ball got traded this morning. I thought that.
Yeah, what on earth?
I thought the Wolves were making space for Jaylen Brown. I thought he made a lot of sense for them. They go with LaMelo instead, which I understand in some ways. Like last year, I thought when Anthony Edwards would get doubled, they didn't really have a good option to kind of attack 4-on-3. I think LaMelo's passing and He's really good around the rim. I think allows them to do that. I think the Timberwolves are very well equipped to cover up the defensive inefficiencies from LaMelo. I kind of like him more as your second best player as opposed to your best player. With that being said, will LaMelo Ball buy into the idea that he's the second best player? We don't really know that yet. Loved it for Charlotte. Like, I think Naz Reid fits really well. They've got some flexibility in future drafts. I thought Brandon Miller was their best player last year as well, so he's going to get to spend more time on the ball. Really liked it for Charlotte. I can see why Minnesota did it. I maybe would have gone after Jaylen Brown first, though. What do you kind of think of that trade?
I join you in many ways. I also like it for Charlotte a great deal. I mean, I think they sold high, right? LaMelo had a great season. I'm not trying to get rid of that in any way, but like last year at this time, his contract was considered like negative value. It was a tough year, and he was awesome. But I think orienting around, Khan and Miller makes good sense for them, right? Like 100% would be what I would be trying to do as their front office, and this certainly lets them do that. And now LaMelo and Ant can both scale down like 5 or 10% of their role. Maybe that'll help both of them. Maybe it'll help neither. That team's going to be like an experiment of team chemistry now. We'll see how that goes. Also, when is the last time, if ever, two fan favorites have been traded for each other in the same trade? Like Naz Reid and LaMelo are so popular in their markets, and now they're both being moved. It's really fascinating.
It is. Would you rather make this trade for LaMelo or pay Trae Young what the Wizards paid him?
As a childhood Wizards fan, I am inclined to say trade for LaMelo. I don't know that the Trae Young deal is as bad. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Yeah. It's pretty expensive. So I think I'd rather have traded for LaMelo, but man, like giving up swaps in this era with the new lottery is ballsy. Like that's a tricky thing to commit to, and they gave up 2 in this lotto. So it's a really crazy. I cannot believe this one happened so fast. Like we had no idea, and then all of a sudden, there it goes, it's over. It stunned me.
Yeah, when they moved Randall, you knew that they were going to do something. I just didn't know Charlotte was going to do that. So I can't. Last thing for real here, because as you know, when I say last thing, it's never the last thing. Can I give you my way too early best league pass team for next year?
Oh, yes, I would love that.
I think it's going to be Memphis. I'm so excited. Oh. Like, first and foremost, I love Cam Boozer, so that's part of it. But like him with Cedric Coward is going to be awesome. I don't mind their guards. They bring in Isaiah Stewart as well, who's going to be able to protect the rim alongside of Boozer. I think they're going to be a lot of fun to watch this next year with Edie as well.
I think they're going to be bad. I think they're going to be fun, bad, but clearly be trending towards something good, which is exactly what you want in their era. And they'll presumably not get like good assets, but they'll get something for John Morant. There'll be other fun stuff on their team, right? So yeah, I think they'll be fun. That's a good shout.
All right, Tony, what are you working on right now? Where are the articles going up at? Do you have more Braden Smith stuff? What all do you have coming out here soon?
Yeah, we're meeting with the front office later today in Pacerland, so plenty more coming on the trade, the Braden Smith of it all, what comes next there, the Fever practice tomorrow morning. There's just endless things to do as it concerns to these teams right now, so lots more to come on Caitlin Clark's injury and Braden Smith and the trade and all that in the next 24 hours. It never stops.
Is Chad Buchanan speaking?
He is, yes.
If no one else does, I'm assuming someone will. Can you ask him about his relationship with Braden Smith and how that impacted this choice? Because I've seen people call it. Go ahead. Sorry.
They definitely know each other. They definitely know each other. I mean, I saw them. They sat together courtside before a Pacers-Bucks game last year. I think their sons overlapped at Westfield maybe for a year or two in high school. So yeah, I would be fascinated by that.
Because some people are calling it a nepotism pick, which is a bridge too far for me. I think that's a bit excessive, but like you said,
they're not related.
Yeah, that as well. Let's maybe look up what the word nepotism means.
But I would say this though, like, obviously it hits a certain way when the relationships are involved in a pick to fans, but also like if you know somebody really well and you pick them, that means that the person you've gotten to know is somebody you believe in, right?
Yes.
Like you can get to know somebody and think they stink. I don't know that it's inherently a bad thing.
True. Very, very fair point. All right, Tony, thanks so much for your time, man.
You got it, man. I'll see you.
See ya. That is Tony East. Check him out on X at Tony R. East. He does a great job covering both the Fever and the Pacers. Also comes on the show very, very often. So very appreciative of him for that. There's a lot going on, man. LaMelo Ball's traded. Jaylen Brown's going to be on the move. The Pacers drafted Braden Smith. U.S. men's national team plays Turkey tonight at 10 o'clock. They are the favorite, despite sitting a lot of guys. Four key players are one mistake away from a knockout stage ban. That's why they're going to be sitting. Is Christian Pulisic going to play? I don't think that he should. I'll tell you why that's the only smart move in 3 minutes.
The best takes. Maybe. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
The Indiana Pacers drafted Braden Smith last night. Good for them, I guess. I am much more excited about the idea of this U.S. men's national team than I am the idea of Braden Smith in the league. And tonight, Team USA has a point. I don't want to say pointless because I'm going to watch, but they've already clinched their group. They're going to be sitting guys tonight that have yellow cards. We'll see if they sit Christian Pulisic or not. But right now, Team USA set to play against Turkey tonight. I'm excited. Game starts at 10. I know Chris is going to be locked in because he loves soccer.
I'm going to have it on for sure. I don't know how focused I'll be, but I'll have it on.
What else are you going to do at 10 p.m.? What else are you The lady coming over? Is that?
No.
So, like, what else will you be focused on at 10 p.m. at night?
Getting ready for bed because I'm old.
What time do you go to bed?
Usually 10.
Do you really?
Yeah, man.
Unless
Or I try to.
Unless it's the weekend.
Right. Because I work overnight. But I try to be in bed by 10, but usually don't fall asleep till midnight. So, yeah, I'm going to have the game on for sure.
Why don't you fall asleep till midnight?
The mind doesn't stop, dude. I told you I'm an overthinker. I overthink everything. And then
You're like, oh, man, would Team USA be better if they played a 4-3-3 instead of a 4-2-4?
I don't know what that means, but that's what I think about.
Soccer
sure.
formations.
It might help me go to sleep. That's good sleeping TV right there.
Do you listen to this? Oh, do you watch TV to fall asleep?
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay. I mean, hey, man, soccer is a good sport to fall asleep to.
Yeah.
I will say. I think that you should watch tonight. I would love 2 minutes from you tomorrow on your thoughts.
Absolutely.
If you fall asleep, though, I get it. No pressure.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll have some questions even if I watch the highlights. So I'll at least do that.
Okay.
But I will have the game on for sure.
Sounds good.
Wait, it's on Fox, right?
Should be. It'll be on
Okay.
Fox or FS1. Probably Fox.
I can
Would be
handle
my
it.
assumption since it is Team USA and we are the host country. I can actually tell you in like 2 seconds. Yeah, we're on Fox tonight.
Cool.
So welcome into the Real Jonathan Smith Show, by the way. If you're new, Chris struggles to sleep at night. I just learned that as well. Thanks for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, X, the Indy Sports Ticket app, or 1430 AM. Fullerin, Balogun, Chris Richards, Tyler Adams, and Anthony Robinson are all sitting tonight with yellow cards, according to U.S. men's national team's manager, Pochettino. That makes sense. For those who don't understand, even though the yellow card slate gets wiped clean after the group stage, which ends tonight for the U.S. men's national team, if you pick up a second yellow in your final group game, you cannot play in the first knockout game. Obviously, the U.S. men's national team doesn't want that to happen. Okay? So all the guys that have a yellow card are not playing tonight. What I'm interested to see is who else they decide to sit for the whole game or sub out early. So I've got a list of some of the guys to kind of watch on that. Weston McKennie is a guy who could be sat tonight. Weston McKennie played 90 minutes in the 4-1 win over Paraguay. And then he played 89 minutes in the 2-0 win over Australia. Okay, similar to Tyler Adams, McKinney's presence is vital to the U.S. men's national team and their setup. Part of why they've been so good in these games is their midfield has been better than their opponents, and Tyler Adams and Weston McKennie both play large roles in that. Okay, especially Weston McKennie, because he's a very versatile player. Okay, like his ability to score goals and create goals is very valuable to Team USA. He plays a little further up than most, attacking midfielders do because he's so gifted in the box. So we'll see if he plays tonight. I do think there's a chance that Pochettino tries to get 45 minutes out of him. We'll see. But a full rest overall, I think, would be the best option as Team USA gets ready for the knockout rounds. Tim Ream is another guy who I think should sit tonight. He is 38 years old, and he played every minute of Team USA's first 2 games. He should probably sit this one out as well. He needs to be as well rested as possible because he is 38 years old. Okay, so Tim Ream started alongside the aforementioned Chris Richards. They are the 2 center backs for this U.S. men's national team. They've both been really good so far. That needs to continue if they want to win some of these knockout round games. Tim Ream is the captain. He is incredibly important to Team USA, both on and off the pitch. And, barring any injury, he's going to play in the round of 32, hence why he needs to set this game. Okay, Pochettino can easily rest both Richards and Ream, give, Miles Robinson, Austin Trusky, and Mark McKenzie playing time tonight. Those are some younger players who are going to probably play in the next World Cup. So get those guys some experience for 4 years from now. So also, I think it'll give everyone a greater appreciation for Ream and Richards, because if those 3 guys play, you're very quickly going to realize how thin this back line is for Team USA. The biggest question is how much, if at all, is Christian Pulisic going to play? He is healthy. Here he is talking to Fox's Jenny Taft yesterday about his calf.
Obviously, first question has to be how you're feeling with the calf injury and your availability for selection against Turkey.
Yeah, I'm feeling great. I think the team's feeling great. I've been able to join the team in the last few days, and I'm feeling healthy and ready to go for this game.
Would you say you've been 100% in training the last couple of days?
Yeah, I would say so. I would say definitely yesterday I felt very close, and I would say 100%, yeah.
Christian Pulisic right there saying he's 100%. He sounds ready to go. Sounds like he could go out there and play today if the game mattered. Me personally, I wouldn't play him. He's probably 100%, but why risk it? What's up, Chris?
It kind of sounded like he had a seductive voice, like, hey, I'm going to play later.
It's really interesting hearing these American soccer players talk because all of them speak multiple languages because that's what happens when you play in Italy. You should probably learn Italian. And people that speak other languages other than English all have a very similar cadence. And like you can hear it in some of the ways that these American players talk.
Yeah, it could have just been an interviewer that he was talking to, but it sounded like if we play it back, then it sounds like he's got like a hidden agenda or something.
He's also, I think, shy. He's a pretty introverted person from my understanding as well. I think he feels awkward sometimes because it's like, I just told you that I was healthy. And then you asked if I was 100%. It's like, yeah, like,
yeah.
What kind of a question is that? So we'll see if he plays tonight. I wouldn't play him at all. I think leaving Pulisic and your yellow card guys on the bench tonight is like keeping your $1 million luxury sports car in the garage during a hailstorm. It's like, sure, you want to drive it. You could drive it, but why risk the dents right before the major car show next week? Doesn't really make a ton of sense. So if you're not risking losing one of your yellow card players in the first knockout game, then why would you risk not having your best player? Okay, like there's an importance in having rhythm in every sport. With that being said, I would prefer Pulisic to have his health rather than his rhythm. Okay, Team USA is minus 105 right now. They are the favorite, despite all of the players that they're going to sit being public knowledge. I don't know if they're going to win tonight because if they do sit Tim Ream and Chris Richards, they're going to give up some goals. It's going to happen. But I am excited to watch tonight because you're going to see players get opportunity that normally don't get opportunity. So obviously, when you're a guy who doesn't play a lot, when you do have an opportunity to play, like you're naturally going to play harder in hopes of earning some minutes down the line. So the guy to watch tonight that will play is Gio Reyna. I hope he starts. We're probably going to see him at some point, even if he doesn't start. He is a stud. He is an incredible talent. He's only 23 years old. He's the son of Claudio Reyna, who was the captain of the U.S. men's national team from 2000 to 2006. That means he captained the 2002 team that made the quarterfinals. Hopefully, Gio Reyna can be part of another quarterfinal run. He's the one who scored the incredible fourth goal against Paraguay to close the match. He's been a subject of drama. He's part of why the former manager got fired, just some mismanagement of Reyna, who, again, is very talented. You could argue he's the most talented player on this U.S. men's national team roster, but he's got some maturing and things to do, only 23 years old. So hopefully he gets to play a lot tonight because I think that if he plays, we're going to be very impressed by how he looks. So speaking of being impressed, let's talk about how unimpressive the Indianapolis Colts are. The Colts are desperately looking for an edge rusher. They have the cash to spend, but Adam Schefter on his podcast just released some information that crosses a potential edge rushing target for the Colts off of their list for pretty much good. I'll talk about a major NFL star who has likely played his last down and what it means for Indy's defense in 3 minutes.
it's in today's sports world, it's here. The real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
The Colts are still looking for another edge rusher. They've got some cap space available to them. Doesn't look like they're going to use it on a wide receiver. It seems like they're waiting to use it on an edge rusher. Originally, it was thought to be, one of either Joey Bosa or Jadeveon Clowney. But it seems like Joey Bosa is done with football. Welcome into the real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy's Sports Ticket. Thanks for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, X, the Indy Sports Ticket app, or 1430 AM if you're driving around the Indianapolis area. Adam Schefter on his podcast yesterday talked about Joey Bosa saying, quote, "It is more likely than not that Joey Bosa has played his last NFL down. Now, again, could a situation like the 49ers come along that entices him enough to come out and play again? Yeah, absolutely. We saw it happen last year with Phillip Rivers, so you never know when a player is fully done and when he's not done. But the fact of the matter is, I think if the Niners wanted to pair those two together, it probably would have happened already. I think if Joey Bosa wanted to play football, it probably would have happened already." End quote from Adam Schefter. Translation: Joey Bosa has been offered the opportunity to play football for a couple of different teams, and he turned them down. If he decides to play football this year, it is probably not going to be for a Colts team that is currently set on a path to go 7-10, 8-9, or 9-8. If he decides to play, it will be for a team that needs him and is good enough to win the Super Bowl. So not the Colts. That leaves Jadeveon Clowney for the Colts to sign and feel good about him being their edge rusher across from Leatu Latu. He is the perfect Colts edge rusher. Okay, he's not wanted by anyone. He's never had a double-digit sack season, and he's regarded as a bust. Sounds like the perfect Chris Ballard edge rusher, if you ask me. Checking all the boxes. Signing Jadeveon Clowney at this stage of his career was like buying a used luxury car with 200,000 miles on it just because of the brand emblem on the hood. Like, it looks okay sitting in your driveway. If you see Jadeveon Clowney on your roster, you're like, oh, that's okay. But it hasn't given anyone peak highway performance in years. And it's the same thing with Clowney. He's going to land anywhere between like 6 and 8.5 sacks. That's really it. So we'll see. So who are some of the other guys that the Pacers could maybe that the Colts could maybe go out and get to add some depth and a little bit of pass rushing juice for this Indianapolis Colts edge rushing room? One of them is Hassan Reddick. He's still available after playing for the Bucs last year. Chris, how many sacks do you think Hassan Reddick had last year?
4.
No, 2.5.
Huh.
2.5 sacks in 13 games.
Wow.
Yeah, not great. He's also 35 years old. I don't know if that's really the guy that you want starting opposite of Leatu Latu. Von Miller is still a free agent as well. He's still playing football at 37 years old. Chris, would you like to guess how many sacks Von Miller had last year?
0.
No, he had 9. He played pretty well.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I know, right? I was surprised. I was like, he had 9 sacks for Washington? He did.
I didn't even know he played last year.
I know. With that being said, he's 37. He probably shouldn't be starting at this point in his career. So we'll see. He is an option, but he probably wants to go somewhere where they're good enough to win some playoff games. Probably not the Colts. Danico Autry is about to be 36. Good thing about Danico, he can play inside or outside. So that's cool. Leonard Floyd. What's up?
Didn't Autry used to play for the Colts, though?
I think he did a while. It's been a minute. No.
I'm pretty sure he started out
here. It's a great question. I forgot to write down his sack total from last year. How many sacks do you think Danico Autry had last year?
Who did he play for last year?
He played for Houston. And by the way, he played for the Colts for 3 years from 2018 through 2020.
I thought so. I'm going to guess he had 2 sacks last year.
He had, where's it at? He had 3.5. He had 3.5 sacks in 12 games last year. So Getting play inside or outside, so that's cool. Leonard Floyd at 35 is another option. Chris, he played for Atlanta last year. How many sacks do you think he had?
3.
3.5 in 15 starts. The Colts could also bring back Tyquan Lewis if they wanted. The Colts are just desperate for an edge rusher. Like, if they don't acquire Clowney, then there's no starting caliber edge rushers left. And the problem is the Colts are not the only team looking for an edge rusher. Like, the Bears need a pass rusher off the edge. The Packers need an edge while Micah Parsons rehabs back from his torn ACL. The Lions, Patriots, Eagles, and Panthers are all potential destinations for these edge rushers as well. Do you know what all of those teams have in common? Or do you know what all those teams have done recently that the Colts have not done in a while?
Make the playoffs.
Ding, 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 ding. Give yourself a bell. There you go. They all made the playoffs. All those teams made the playoffs last year except for the Lions. Okay, and the Lions made it 2 years ago. They were in the NFC Championship game not that long ago either. If I remember that correctly. I can't remember if they lost to the Niners in the NFC title game or if it was the divisional round. Anyway, they've had playoff success recently. The Colts have not. Trying to convince a veteran mercenary like Clowney to sign with a 500 Colts team over a proven playoff contender is like trying to convince a Michelin star chef to come flip burgers at a local diner or McDonald's when 3 high-end bistros down the street are offering him a spot. If you were Clowney, would you rather play for the Colts, who are staring down the barrel of another season where they sit around 500 and beg and plead that someone loses a game that they shouldn't in Week 18 so that they can sneak into the playoffs? Or would you rather play for a team that's looking to build off of a playoff appearance from the year prior? Me personally, if I had never won a Super Bowl, I'm probably going to go play for that team. The team that just made the playoffs and has this thing called hope. Colts don't really have any of that. Okay? Or at least that I'm aware of. Okay? So, yeah. Congratulations, Hassan Reddick. That's probably who the Colts are going to wind up with. So, we'll see how it goes. Probably not going to go very well, though, for the Colts in terms of finding another edge rusher. Something that is going to go well, the match of the day. I can't wait. The match of the day takes place at the same time as USA versus Turkey, Paraguay versus Australia. The winner of this match is going to advance to the round of 32. The loser will be in danger of not advancing to the knockout rounds. Are there higher stakes than this? If they draw, then Australia would advance off goal differential. Okay, shout out to the U.S. men's national team for putting these teams in this spot by beating them in their first 2 matches. According to the odds, a draw is the most likely outcome. A draw is plus 125, Paraguay is plus 180, and Australia is plus 310 to win. Should be a fun game with very high stakes. These are 2 teams that like to park the bus. For those who, Chris, if you had to guess what that means, what does it mean to park the bus in soccer?
I don't have the slightest clue, man.
So basically it means that you just try to play defense. So I don't know how much of the Paraguay and Australia matches you watched when they played against Team USA. But if you noticed, Team USA had possession of the ball like 80% of the time.
Sure.
And that's because Paraguay and Australia like to park the bus. So basically they want to play defense and then score on the counterattack. So they're parking the bus in front of the goal and then hoping to respond quickly, kind of like a fast break in basketball.
Got it. Okay.
So both teams want to play that way. And so I'm very intrigued to see who kind of dominates possession in this game, who trusts their attack more and is willing to hold possession. Because obviously, I think it'd be really funny if the ball just sat at midfield and nobody moved. I'm assuming that it's going to be Paraguay because they have to win. And so you'll see them be a little bit more aggressive in terms of trying to generate goals, which isn't really their style of play. So that'll be interesting as well. Interesting stuff there. Interesting stuff. Can't wait. That match is tonight at 10 o'clock. If I had to bet it, I would probably take. I don't really know. I Paraguay's the favorite, but like watching them play, like I haven't been like overwhelmingly impressed. Whereas with Australia, when you watch them play, like there are parts where it's like, oh, like that looks good, So I guess I would take Australia, even though they are the underdog in this game at plus 310. In the world of the NBA, you should just never go to sleep because when you go to sleep, trades happen. Jaylen Brown is going to get traded. It hasn't happened quite yet. Celtics are actively shopping him. So we're going to get another shift in the Eastern Conference. The Celtics just earned the 2 seed with their best player, Jason Tatum, not playing the majority of the year. I know they blew a 3-1 lead in the first round to the 7th-seeded 76ers. I don't care. Boston's clearly a good team. They have championship pedigree, and by moving Jaylen Brown, they're probably going to get better. I say that because reportedly they are looking for a big man. Aren't you glad that the Pacers traded for Zubac? They wanted the title, the Celtics did, in 2022 in large part because Kristaps Porzingis and Al Horford were awesome. They were significantly better than Neemias Queta and slow-footed Nikola Vucevic. Not great, not a great front court there. Okay, the Celtics trying to win without a dominant big man is like a 5-star restaurant trying to run a dinner service with 2 world-class pastry chefs, but no head butcher. Tatum and Brown give you all the sweet, flashy perimeter play you could ever want. But at some point, you need some meat in the middle. Oh, man. to survive the postseason. Okay, the report yesterday came out that they inquired about Evan Mobley from Cleveland. That would make them better. They need more rim protection, and they need someone who can score inside the arc more often. A lot of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown's game come from the three-point line and pull-up jump shots. They need more of a presence at the rim. Part of why they blew that 3-1 lead to Philly is because they took too many threes. Adding a big guy who can score at the rim and gives them more rim protection makes a lot of sense for them. Evan Mobley has already been mentioned. If I was Boston, like that is the guy that I would want. I think he makes a lot of sense for them. There's also been rumors that they could move Jaylen Brown for Trey Murphy in New Orleans. They need a little more to match salaries, so maybe they get DeJounte Murray back as well. That could be in addition. We'll see how they do that. Personally, I would pursue a trade with Cleveland for Evan Mobley in exchange for Jaylen Brown. But at the same time, there's a movie called Draft Day. Have you seen Draft Day, Chris?
Is that Kevin Costner?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's the Browns GM.
Yeah.
There's a scene in the movie where the Seahawks have the number 1 overall pick and they want to trade it. And they go, who's the most desperate GM we know? And it cuts to them calling Kevin Costner and the Browns. Because the Browns just operate out of a sense of like desperation and it causes them to do dumb things.
Sure.
That is Joe Dumars and the New Orleans Pelicans. Okay, personally, I would do everything I could to trade with the Pelicans. Because as great of a player as Joe Dumars was, when you look at his history, he has not been a great front office guy. I would call him and offer him Jaylen Brown in a heartbeat. Okay, I think that's really only the other place that makes a ton of sense. Like Cleveland is trying to get back to the Eastern Conference Finals. It seems like they want to split up Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. Bringing in a guy like Jaylen Brown would improve their team offensively. It give them another wing defender as well, which they need. For the Pelicans, Brown would give them the first star they've had in quite some time. Probably their first star since Chris Paul, because Zion hasn't really panned out. Also, if Boston wanted him in the trade, they could probably find a way to make that work as well. They could probably send Zion to Boston with Trey Murphy if they wanted to. It's a fascinating thing, but a deal has to be reached first, and there are obviously multiple Trey Murphy suitors. So we'll see who lands him, but it seems like Boston is going to move Jaylen Brown. The question is where and when. I'd be very surprised if Jaylen Brown plays any games for the Celtics next year. Okay, the problem with moving Jaylen Brown is his salary. He's set to make like $57 million next year. It's a lot of money. And the other guys that make that much aren't looking to be traded. So whoever they move him for, they should get multiple pieces, not just because they're trading, one of the 15 best players on the planet, but they're also trading a guy who's making so much money, and you have to be able to match salaries in this day and age of trading. So we'll see what Brad Stevens can do. He's done a really good job, I think, as the president of basketball operations for the Boston Celtics. So he'll figure it out. I know that they kind of want to switch up their playing style. We'll see if they're actually able to do it or not. Kevin Pritchard is smarter than I am. Very, very smart president of basketball operations for the Indiana Pacers. But there are some NBA things that I think are just simple. The Pacers traded away, Cam Jones and a couple of swaps that no one really cares about for Braden Smith, who lacks the two traits every successful small guard in league history has possessed. I'll explain why I'm not really a fan of this Braden Smith move at 2 o'clock. First, Chris, is your sports update.
Thanks, Jonathan. Here's a few stories that we're following this hour. The Pacers sent Cam Jones and some cash to Chicago for the number 38 pick in last night's draft, which resulted in Braden Smith from Purdue. Smith's jersey sold out from the Pacers team store in less than 12 hours. Fellow Purdue teammate Trey Kaufman-Wren was also drafted at number 59 by Minnesota. Former IU players Lamar Wilkerson and Sam Alexis were not drafted, but will join the Oklahoma City Thunder's Summer League to compete for a roster spot. And Tucker DeVries signed an Exhibit 10 contract with the Boston Celtics. Indianapolis native and former Pike High School standout Ryan Conwell was also drafted, number 37 by the Thunder, and then was traded to the Heat. So congrats to him. Former Carmel High School star Peter Suter signed a two-way deal with the Lakers also. The Indiana Fever fell to the Phoenix Mercury last night at Cambridge, 111-109. Caitlin Clark left the game early in the second half due to a flare-up of a lingering back issue. Did not return. She'll be back soon, though. Finishing her night with 13 points, 3 assists, Kelsey Mitchell also exploded for 30 points, and Aaliyah Boston finished with 23 points and 9 rebounds. So good for her. The NFL also announced next year's draft dates. It'll be from Washington, D.C., so mark your calendars for April 29th through May 1st in 2027. That's what's trending this hour. More of the Real Jonathan Smith Show in reaction to the NBA draft after the break on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430.
It's the Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Hour number 3 of the Real Jonathan Smith Show is getting underway. Welcome into the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Thanks for tuning in. No matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket. If you want to head over there and subscribe, you can watch the show on X__Jonathan Smith to follow me there and watch the show there. You can also listen on the Indy Sports Ticket app or 1430 AM if you're driving around the Indianapolis area. So the Pacers took Braden Smith with the 38th pick last night. They traded with the Bulls. They sent Cam Jones, future swaps, and cash. I don't really understand it. Kevin Pritchard and Chad Buchanan are both significantly smarter than I am. But I do think that there are some things in basketball that are simple. And I think this is one of them. Small guards can play in the NBA. But all small guards have one thing in common. Okay, they are all either incredibly quick or they are incredibly explosive. Okay, Braden Smith is neither. Okay, even when you go through like recent history of small guards who have been drafted. For example, Braden Smith measured in at 5'10" and a quarter inch at the NBA Draft Combine without shoes. Okay, here's some other guys who have recently measured in at around his height. All of them are taller, by the way. So Ryan Nembhard measured in at 5'11". So did Jose Alvarado and Fred VanVleet. Chris Paul measured in at 5'11" and 3/4 of an inch. Davion Mitchell measured in at 6 foot. Trae Young and TJ McConnell are both 6 feet and half an inch. And then Jalen Brunson measured in at 6'1", all without shoes. Okay, so you can add like an inch to their height after they have shoes on. So all of them with shoes are at least 6 feet tall. Braden Smith's barely 5'11" with shoes. Okay, here's the other thing. All those guys possess elite level quickness. Like Ryan Nembhard is incredibly quick and incredibly fast, and he's an excellent shooter off the bounce. Jose Alvarado is incredibly quick. It's what allows him to be such a good defender. Okay, Fred VanVleet, incredibly quick, big-bodied guy as well who can play through people because of his strength and his size, especially in like his midsection. Braden Smith weighs 166 pounds. Don't know if that's really the answer. Okay, Chris Paul, incredibly quick. Davion Mitchell, incredibly quick. A dog as well, plays really hard. Trae Young, same thing, incredibly quick, even though I don't really like his game. TJ McConnell, incredibly quick. Physical player as well, really good defender. Jalen Brunson, same thing, incredible lateral quickness. I don't know or don't think from what I've seen that Braden Smith has that level of quickness. Okay? Drafting a 5'10" guard without elite explosive traits in today's NBA is like bringing a finely crafted pocket knife to a modern laser fight. Like, sure, the knife is sharp, but you're fundamentally outmatched on scale. Now, Braden Smith is a lot of things that I like. He's smart. He's a good passer. He's a good shooter. You have to be those things to play in the NBA. But when you're 5'10", you have to have all of that and a little bit more. Okay, Jalen Brunson just won the NBA Finals as a small guard. Okay, but here's the thing. He is incredibly quick, and he has incredible footwork playing off 2 feet. I don't think Braden Smith is as quick or as good off 2 feet as Jalen Brunson. Okay, Chris, do we have a caller? Oh, they didn't say anything. They were just like heavily breathing into the phone.
Somebody's stalker just wanted to hear your voice. Probably.
Hey, man, I don't blame him. It's probably a woman.
Well, I would hope so.
You said what?
I would hope so, but, whatever.
I mean, yeah,
That's
who knows?
cool.
Who knows? But Braden Smith has been compared to TJ McConnell quite a bit. That's what happens when you're a short white guy. You get compared to other short white guys, even when your games aren't anything alike. It's like comparing a Mazda Miata to a Jeep Wrangler just because they both happen to be convertibles. Like their actual mechanics and purposes could not be more different. Braden Smith and TJ McConnell couldn't be more different as basketball players. The shot selection is completely different. Like the majority of TJ McConnell's shots come within 10 feet of the rim. Braden Smith loves his dribble pull-up going right, and he takes threes. He doesn't really score at the rim. He's also not as fast or as quick or as big as TJ McConnell. TJ McConnell is 6'1", 190 pounds. Braden Smith is 5'10", 167 pounds, according to his measurements at the NBA Combine. Okay, he's 3 inches shorter and 20 pounds lighter. That's a big difference. Okay, if you are this small in the NBA, you have to have something athletically that allows you to match the size and athleticism that you're playing against. Who is Braden Smith going to guard? Seriously. I mean, come on now. He's got to guard somebody. Okay, guards in the NBA tend to be 6'3" and up for the most part. Now, there are other small guards in the league like a TJ McConnell and a Jalen Brunson, but those guys would, but first, they're both bigger than Braden Smith. That's the thing that I don't think people are grasping as part of this. Braden Smith is smaller than the small guards by like 3 inches. And 3 inches, that's a lot. 3 inches is a lot. Especially when you're comparing size. Anyway, seriously, but he's smaller than the small guards. Like that should be concerning. And he's not as athletic as they are either. That is the concern here. When you compare him to the other small players in the NBA, he's not as athletic or as big as they are. That's like that. Am I the only one who like sees the problem with that? Okay, here's another difference between TJ McConnell and Braden Smith. TJ McConnell is a much better defender than Braden Smith. When you look at the last 2 Pacer playoff runs, Aaron Nesmith was the primary defender on Jalen Brunson. But when Aaron Nesmith went to the bench, TJ McConnell came in and made life very tough on Jalen Brunson. He's a very good defender who can pick up full court and be a pest and do those things. Okay, Braden Smith, he can play as hard as he wants to. He's not going to defend as well as TJ McConnell. He's just not. Okay? So I have a really hard time thinking that Braden Smith is going to work out in the league. And, you know, there's been a lot of comparisons to McConnell, you know, and like a large part of like what makes TJ McConnell is his energy and his effort and how hard he plays. But here's the thing. You can play hard, you can play with high energy, but it doesn't matter if you don't meet the athletic baseline. Okay? For example, I went to high school at a very good basketball high school. Everybody that played at my high school went on to play in college. One of them went on to be the first player since Chris Paul to lead the ACC in points per game and assists per game in the same season. So he was pretty good. Okay. And I played a lot of basketball when I was in high school. They would invite me out to runs. And I would show up, man, and I would play harder than anybody else there. But it did not matter because I just athletically didn't meet the minimum to be able to hang with those guys. And that is my concern for Braden Smith. I don't think he meets the minimum athletic requirements to play in the NBA. Now, there is some nice stuff about this trade. They moved Cam Jones, which is good. He was never going to turn into anything with the Pacers. Maybe he can figure it out in Chicago. I really hope he does. But ultimately, this feels like a lateral move. They basically traded a broken lawnmower for a weed whacker that's missing a power cord. They moved a guard that wasn't going to amount to anything for an undersized point guard that hasn't played off the ball in 4 years and will likely not turn into anything. And they did open up some cap space, right? So now they can hopefully go add like a Trey Murphy or whoever it winds up being. That was the point of the trade, okay? But here's the thing. Braden Smith, not exactly what you're looking for when you're trying to make it back to the finals. I would have preferred it if they'd been able to trade higher into the second round to get one of those other guys that fell out of the first, whether it's Isaiah Evans out of Duke, who can really shoot it, Malik Thomas, who can really score it, Bruce Thornton, who can really score it, or Richie Saunders, who I think has a lot of Braden Smith-like ability, but is 6'5" and arguably shoots it better than Braden Smith does. I think all four of those guys would have had a better opportunity of making an impact for the Pacers than Braden Smith will this year. I will say, there is something interesting about Braden Smith that is going to give him the opportunity to potentially carve out a role in the NBA. He is an excellent shooter. Okay, he's going to go from being on the ball to primarily playing off the ball. For my Purdue fans, he'll play more of a Fletcher lawyer role. Now, look, they're not going to be like drawing up plays for him. Okay, but like he's going to space the floor and have opportunities to catch and shoot. Okay, he's not going to be initiating ball screen offense the way he did at Purdue. Okay, he's going to be more of a catch and shoot guy because with where the Pacer roster sits right now, and they're going to add to it and it'll change, they've really got three guys that can create offense themselves. That's Siakam, TJ McConnell, and Tyrese Halliburton. They're not going to play McConnell and Braden Smith together because that's just too small, way too small of a backcourt. And so what that means, like they're going to keep some version of they're going to have either Siakam or Halliburton on the floor at pretty much all times. Okay. And so we're going to see Braden Smith off the ball a little bit more. And to his credit, he is an exceptional catch and shoot player. Over 4 years at Purdue, he shot 44% on catch and shoot threes and 285 attempts. That's impressive. That'll give him a chance to stick around and be an NBA player. But the lack of size is a real concern. That's why I don't see it working out. Okay, the Pacers are going to have to look somewhere else to find a guy who can come off the bench and get some buckets for them. Right now, in terms of guys who can get a bucket, they, again, only really have three, Halliburton, Siakam, and McConnell. But the problem is Halliburton would rather create for others than for himself. Okay, he's also coming off of a torn Achilles, so we'll see how his self-creation looks. TJ McConnell is currently 34. He's going to be 35 here at some point. Okay, obviously Siakam's awesome, but they need a fourth guy who can get a bucket. I was really hoping that they would find that yesterday in the second round. It's part of why I really wanted them to go get Malik Thomas. But Mathurin was so important for them last year because he could go get his own shot. He was also a good defender, and he had late shot clock ability. Okay, he had, the offense hasn't gone anywhere in the first 18 seconds of the shot clock. Give me the ball. Get out of the way. I can get to the rim, or I can get to a jump shot that I like. The Pacers need a little bit more of that. They need one more guy who can do that. That's what I think that they're looking for. It's why a guy like Trey Murphy makes a lot of sense for them because he can do that. Okay? So we'll see what he ends up doing. Just because a guy is great in college doesn't mean that it's going to translate to the NBA. I've seen some people comment that over in our YouTube chat. Like it's a completely different brand of basketball, college to the NBA. Can Braden Smith pan out? Sure, because anything is possible. Okay, but it's probably not going to happen because of the lack of size. Chris, what do you make of the Pacers taking Braden Smith last night?
I think it was a solid move on the case of what they had to give up, right? You gave up a little cash, and I was going to ask you, maybe this was more of a move to offload Cam Jones. Like they didn't have a big rapport with Cam Jones. So what if they were like, we got to drop this guy off somewhere, and it's a win-win if we bring home somebody that the fans already know in Braden Smith. Not that it was like a real sought-out move, but I think the main reason was to get rid of Cam Jones, maybe, you think?
Yeah, like I said, I do think that was the main point of the trade. It opens up a little bit more cap space. They're about $5 million away from the full mid-level exception, which is important when you look at free agency and some of the guys that they might go and try to get. But yeah, I think the importance of the move was like freeing up cap space, moving off Cam Jones. The problem that I have with it is like, why not draft? I keep naming Arkansas guys. I don't want to do that again. I was about to say, like, why not draft Trevon Brazile, who is 6'10", has like a 40-inch vertical, and can shoot the crap out of the basketball. Like a guy like that, I think, has a much higher chance of being successful. Okay, because whoever you took here probably wasn't going to contribute this year anyway. You want a guy who can maybe contribute down the line. A guy like Brazil, I think, has the tools to do that. Why not take a guy like Malik Brown, who was maybe the best defender in college basketball last year? Why not take, Emmanuel Sharp, a guy that they brought in for, to kind of look at before the draft, a guy who can shoot it and has some NBA size at 6'4", right? Like, I understand the point of the trade was to move off Cam Jones and open up some cap space. But why not draft a guy who at least has the baseline of like maybe he could be an NBA player? That's really my problem with it.
Fair enough. I know somebody said it earlier in the YouTube chat. I can't remember who said it, but to some extent, they said exactly what I was thinking whenever this happened, is that Braden Smith will kind of be like a Damon Bailey form in this generation for the Pacers. Are you old enough to remember the whole Damon Bailey thing? And
I am not.
Hometown kid. I don't even remember where he went to school. I just remember meeting him as a player. I had a Damon Bailey jersey for some reason, but he wasn't a great Pacers player. Great in college, but like came to the Pacers, but fans loved him, and I think that could be what happens with Braden Smith too.
That's kind of what it seems like. When you look up, for those who don't know, when you look up Damon Bailey on Basketball Reference, I don't think he ever logged an official NBA stat. He was just drafted. He didn't play a single minute.
But he did definitely have a jersey because I had one.
Yeah, I saw a video today of the Pacers making Braden Smith jerseys.
Yeah, that was Ridger, by the way. Yeah, that said that. But
yeah,
in the Pacers store, the Braden Smith jerseys sold out within 12 hours. So Pacers fans that buy jerseys, like, you go online, you're like, man, I got to get a Pacers jersey. Why are you going after a Braden Smith jersey unless you're like a big Purdue fan and loved him at Purdue? Can you explain that one for me?
Repeat that. I'm sorry. Sorry, I was looking something.
No, I can. I was talking about like buying a Braden Smith jersey. It's almost like what you were saying about buying Colts jerseys, right? Like if you're going to a Pacers store, you're going online, you want to buy a jersey. Why, unless you're a big Purdue fan, why are you going after a Braden Smith jersey?
Yeah,
what's the meaning behind
you're
it?
buying a Tyrese Halliburton or Pascal Siakam jersey. That's what you're buying.
That's what you would think.
Or you could be cool like me and buy a Reggie Miller one.
Solid choice. Yeah. Also, but I mean, explain that though. Like, who are the people that are going online to immediately buy a Braden Smith Pacers jersey?
Purdue fans.
Okay.
That's the answer. So yeah, I just, again, like the main point of the trade was to free up the money and to move off Cam Jones. And the fact that, I thought Tony East made a really good point earlier when he said, like, Chad Buchanan obviously knows him. And, like, you can know somebody and like their character, but also think that they suck. So they obviously don't think that.
Okay. I mean, would this, had he gotten drafted and stayed with the Bulls or whatever, would they be going to buy Bulls jerseys? Like, are they going to buy Trey Kaufman Minnesota Timberwolves jerseys too? Or
I think that'd be really funny.
I'm just curious, man. Legit question.
I don't know. I'm sure that some Purdue fans would, but I think the fact that he's a Pacer is I do think that for Purdue fans, like that is a big deal. Like, it is cool. Like, I mean, I was over here clamoring for Malik Thomas, and part of that is because, like, I am an Arkansas fan, and it'd be really cool to see an Arkansas guy on the team that I cover. So yeah, I mean,
that's fair. And
that is part of it.
Open up a whole new line of topic. I mean, because like, how many people do we know are going to go buy Mendoza Raiders jerseys now? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I think a bunch.
You think so?
Yeah, but it's different because he's like the number 1 overall pick.
Sure.
Braden Smith is one in a long line of really good Purdue players, whereas Fernando Mendoza is like the first in a long time, at least, like, great football player at IU who also played quarterback.
Fair. I know that was just kind of like an example, but okay.
Like if Braden Smith had gone number 1 overall to Washington, I think a lot of people here in the state would have been buying Braden Smith Washington jerseys.
Fair enough. I mean, Zach Edey, right? He played for Purdue, right?
Yeah.
Where's he at now? Like what, Memphis or something, New Orleans or something like that, right? He's somewhere. But
Edey's like, he's playing for Memphis.
How many Edey jerseys Memphis Grizzlies do people have?
I went to a I've been to a couple Purdue sporting events. First thing you'll notice if you go to a Purdue football game, there's a lot of Drew Brees jerseys still.
Right. Yeah.
And so there's that. But also, if you go to a Purdue basketball game, you will see Zach Edey Memphis Grizzly jerseys.
Interesting.
I've seen them.
Okay.
So there you go.
All right.
But it's I don't know, like you said, like it's
No,
fans like it.
Definitely support the kids. Not
The
dismissing
Nobles,
that. I'm
yeah. The Noblesville Boom are gonna sell some tickets this year, so congrats on that. We'll kind of see how it goes from there. But we do have other news going on. LaMelo Ball traded from the Charlotte Hornets to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Great move for Charlotte. Potentially great move for Minnesota. We'll talk about it in 3 minutes.
It may, one day, be a must-listen for sports enthusiasts.
Yeah, and monkeys might fly out of my butt.
The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
LaMelo Ball traded from Charlotte to Minnesota. What does this mean for the Pacers? Not much. I mean, with or without LaMelo Ball, I think that the Hornets were going to be in a pretty similar spot they were in this last year. Very fun, very interesting team. Chance to be like the 6th seed, but you're not like worried about them making an Eastern Conference Finals run or anything like that. So this trade, I don't think, has any real significant impacts on the Pacers unless they were wanting to trade for LaMelo. I mean, I don't think that they were, but hey, maybe. Welcome into the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Thanks for tuning in. No matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket, if you want to head over there and subscribe, you can watch the show on X__Jonathan Smith to follow me there and watch the show there. You can also listen on the Indy Sports Ticket app, which you can download wherever you find your apps. And, of course, 14:30 a.m. as well. LaMelo Ball and good wing defender who can also shoot it a little bit, Josh Green, were sent to the Minnesota Timberwolves in exchange for Naz Reid and a 2033 unprotected first-round pick, 3 first-round pick swaps in 2028, 2029, and 2030, and 3 second-round picks in 2029, 2032, and 2033. This is a high-risk, high-reward move for Minnesota. And I understand why they made the move. There was a report earlier in the week about how Anthony Edwards wasn't happy with where the Timberwolves were at. They didn't like that they traded Karl Anthony Towns. So I understand they probably felt like they were in a spot. It's like, all right, like we're not getting much further than the Western Conference Finals with Julius Randle. Probably need to upgrade away from him. So they trade him to Brooklyn. They get this huge trade exception. They then use it to acquire Josh Green and LaMelo Ball. They certainly could have done worse. I would argue that they also certainly could have done better. I personally would have preferred a guy like Jaden Daniels. Like, could you imagine defensively running a lineup out there of Ayo Dosunmu, Anthony Edwards, Jaylen Brown, whoever they find to play power forward, hopefully Rui Hachimura, that'd probably be the best fit for them. And then at center, like you have Rudy Gobert. Like that is an exceptional defensive unit that they could have had. But instead, they decide for a guy like LaMelo Ball, and because of the current personnel that they do have the players that you need to cover up the defensive issues that LaMelo Ball has. He can't really guard the ball, doesn't seem very interested in playing defense in general. But Minnesota does currently have the personnel to kind of deal with that. So that part of it's covered. The question is really going to be LaMelo. He's a guy who has been deemed as like an unserious basketball player. He's a bit of a shot chucker. He likes to do the Trae Young thing where he dribbles the ball for 20 seconds, can't find anything, and then he gives it up, and then that person scores, and so they get some sort of an assist for it. Okay, so stylistically, he's going to have to shift a little bit, but there are some other issues as well. He's had some injury issues. He's only played 70 games in a season twice. Okay, he's played 51 games once. Every other year, he's played less than like 40 games. He has really struggled to stay healthy. So that's the first thing. Like he's got to be able to stay on the court. The other thing, he's very ball dominant. His usage rate is incredibly high. And for those who don't know what usage rate is, it's basically like how often you have the ball. How often do possessions end and you score and you shooting or making a pass into someone else's shot. Okay, so that's obviously a sign of like guys who have the ball a lot. And, you know, for example, like Jalen Brunson led the playoffs in usage rate. A guy like Luka led the league in usage rate this year, and so on. So he's a guy who holds on to the basketball quite a bit. He was 17th in the NBA this last year in usage rate. For reference, Anthony Edwards was 14th, which isn't a good thing. They want, you know, guys moving the basketball around, and LaMelo is a good enough passer to make that happen. The question is just going to be if he's willing to do it. Because, again, he's a very ball-dominant player. With that being said, he was deemed the best player for Charlotte last year. Okay, and look, it's normal. Your best player is going to have the ball a lot. He's never been the second best player on his team. Going back to his time in high school when he played in Australia, and then now with the Hornets. He's always been the best player. He's never been the second best player on his team. He's going to have to buy into that, which isn't easy for a lot of these guys to do. If he does, I think that's actually going to be the best thing for him. New roles are sometimes the best thing for a player. For example, Kyrie Irving couldn't win 30 games in a year as the best player on his team. And then LeBron James shows up and they win the finals and they have all this success. Kyrie Irving leaves. He goes to Boston, where Boston was better when he was out than when he played. So then he ends up in Brooklyn. He's hurt. COVID stuff happens. Ends up in Dallas, playing alongside Luka, where Kyrie Irving is clearly the second best player. And what do? They make a run to the finals in 2022. New roles are sometimes the best thing for a player. And I think being the second option is going to be better for LaMelo than for him to be the best player. Because when you're the second option, you have to pass the ball more. And when you look at LaMelo, that is his best ability. His ability to pass is what makes him special. That and the fact that he's 6'7", and he's also very gifted in terms of his ability to handle the basketball. But the thing that makes him pop is his vision and passing. And when you're the best player, you're expected to score a little bit more. That scoring role should be reduced with him playing alongside Anthony Edwards. And hopefully that facilitation role is increased, because that is where I think LaMelo really shines. So this has a chance to be the best thing for LaMelo. We'll see if he buys into it or not, because that's obviously the most important thing. You can be in the perfect role for yourself, but if you don't want to be in that role and you don't buy into it, then it doesn't really matter. So that's how I feel about it for Minnesota. If LaMelo Ball buys in and he can stay healthy, they're going to be in a really good spot. They're going to have probably the best backcourt in basketball with him and Anthony Edwards. For Charlotte, love it, man. Great move for the Charlotte Hornets. Okay, they bring in Naz Reid to play power forward. Perfect spot. Perfect spot for him. Okay, he can really shoot it, so he's another shooter on this Hornets roster that's just filled with guys who can shoot the basketball. Defensively, he's a really good defender, man. Can get in the stance, can guard multiple positions. Offensively, he can get his own shot as well, has an incredible handle for a guy of his size. And then the Hornets also get some draft capital to continue building around Con Knipple and Brandon Miller. Okay, so also with LaMelo gone, we're going to get to see Con Knipple on the ball a little bit more. We're going to get to see Brandon Miller on the ball a little bit more. I think the basketball is going to bounce around a little more offensively than what it did before. I really like this for them. I love what they have at center as well between Kalkbrenner, Steinbach, and Musabate. Just three huge centers that can rim run and rebound. All three of them, they are all excellent rebounders. So there's just a lot to like in Charlotte. I don't know if they're a playoff team with how much better Miami has gotten with, we're still waiting to see what Boston does with Jaylen Brown. So I don't know if they're a playoff team, but they are going to be a real joy to watch this next season. And I think that this trade has set them up to build around two really good young players in Con Knipple and Brandon Miller. So we'll see how it goes. Can't wait. Tonight, can't wait for tonight either. We got the U.S. men's national team playing against Turkey. We're going to get some massive lineup changes for Team USA, including a 38-year-old captain who desperately needs a break. But with the Stars sitting, one 23-year-old legacy player is about to get his opportunity. I will look at the U.S. men's national team's final group stage clash with Turkey in 3 minutes.
The best takes. Maybe. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
The U.S. men's national team taking on Turkey, as I like to call them, tonight, 10 o'clock. Can't wait. Team USA has already punched their ticket to the round of 32. But if you're anything like me, you just like watching people compete. And that's what we're going to get tonight, because we're going to have several players sitting for Team USA. Fuller and Balogun, Chris Richards, Tyler Adams, and Anthony Robinson are all going to be sitting tonight. Mauricio Pochettino came out, that is the U.S. men's national team's manager, came out and said that everybody on a yellow card will not play tonight. That makes sense. Even though the yellow card slate gets wiped clean after the group stage, which ends tonight for the U.S. men's national team, if you pick up a second yellow card in your final group stage game, you cannot play in the first knockout game. Obviously, the U.S. men's national team doesn't want that to happen. All those guys that I just listed are very important to the success of Team USA. So I'll be very intrigued to see who else they decide to sit for the whole game or sub out early. I've got a couple of guys that I would assume that they're going to do that with. Like Weston McKennie is probably Team USA's best midfielder. He's definitely their best attacking midfielder. He's just played a lot of soccer, man. Like played 90 minutes in the 4-1 win over Paraguay, played 89 minutes in the 2-0 win over Australia. You know, similar to Tyler Adams, McKinney's extremely important to this U.S. men's national team and the way that they like to play. Part of why the U.S. men's national team has played so well is their midfield. Like they've done a great job of holding possession. Okay. And especially with a guy like McKennie, who can like play a little further forward as like a real threat to score goals and set other guys up. He just gives them a little more flexibility in terms of how they attack opposing teams. So wouldn't be surprised if he sat. I do think there's a chance that Pochettino tries to get like 45 minutes out of him tonight against Turkey. Again, that match starting at 10 o'clock. But a full rest overall would probably be the best option. You want him to have his full legs for when the knockout round starts. Tim Ream is 38 years old. He played every minute of Team USA's first two games. He's a center back for what is not a great defensive Team USA team. He should probably sit this one out as well. He needs to be as well rested as possible. Ream started alongside the aforementioned Chris Richards, who's on a yellow and won't be playing tonight. In both of their victories so far, he is also the U.S. men's national team's captain. Should be. Dude's 38 years old. He's important to them both on and off the field. Barring any injury, he's going to be the starter in the round of 32. With that being said, that's why he needs to sit, because he's 38 years old. Okay, let his body rest. Make sure he's ready for that round of 32 game. Pochettino can easily rest both Richards and Ream. Give guys like Miles Robinson, Austin Trusty, and Mark McKenzie all of the playing time on Thursday. And by playing those guys, you'll very quickly realize why Tim Ream and Chris Richards are so valuable to the U.S. men's national team and will be needed in the knockout rounds. The defense for Team USA, it's not great. It's not great. So hopefully Ream and Richards are rested and ready to go for the round of 32. But the big question, I think the one that people are paying the most attention to, is how much is Christian Pulisic going to play? He's healthy. He rejoined the team a couple of days ago. Here he is talking to Fox's Jenny Taft yesterday about his calf and if he'll be ready to go for the game against Turkey.
Obviously, first question has to be how you're feeling with the calf injury and your availability for selection against Turkey.
Yeah, I'm feeling great. I think the team's feeling great. I've been able to join the team in the last few days, and I'm feeling healthy and ready to go for this game.
Would you say you've been 100% in training the last couple of days?
Yeah, I would say so. I would say definitely yesterday I felt very close, and I would say 100%, yeah.
I would say 100%.
Seductive soccer voice, yeah.
He just talks low.
Talk to me about soccer, yeah. Sorry.
Do you think
I'm not wrong.
You're not.
He was doing that on purpose.
I was laughing because of what I was about to ask you.
Okay, no, go for it.
Do you think soccer players like playing footsie?
Absolutely. They have to, right? It's like a prerequisite to get into soccer. You have to know how to play footsie, and then we can draft you.
Maybe they're just really good at it.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know. Geez.
Hey, girl,
I got a
wanna
lot of
come
jokes,
over?
and I'm trying to figure out where the line needs to be drawn.
But you got to say it like a soccer player interview.
So if soccer players are most likely to play footsie, which professional athlete is most likely to get handsy with you? Is it
What
the
sport?
goalie?
Yes.
Is the goalie bad at footsie, but it's all about being handsy?
That's correct.
Or is it a wide receiver?
Yeah, well, yeah, probably the wide receiver.
Ooh, or is it linebackers? Because word on the street is Mike Vrabel got pretty handsy with Diana Rossini.
I see what you did there. Yeah, there you go, Jonathan.
Oh man,
Now you're using your head.
there you go.
You got to say it like a soccer player. Hey,
Now
girl.
I'm using my head. Wouldn't that also be soccer players?
Sure. Yeah.
Oh man, jeez.
We should talk. Hey, girl, come interview me about soccer. Talk about. I'm not wrong.
Play it again.
One more time. Listen.
more time.
Listen to the seduction.
To Christian Pulisic's apparently seductive
Yeah,
voice.
tell me I'm wrong.
Obviously, first question has to be how you're feeling with the calf injury and your availability for selection against Turkey.
Yeah, I'm feeling great. I think the team's feeling great. I've been able to join the team in the last few days, and I'm feeling healthy and ready to go for this game.
Would you say you've been 100% in training the last couple of days?
Yeah, I would say so. I would say definitely yesterday I felt very close, and I would say 100%.
Yeah, it felt very close. Yeah.
I would say
Somebody that plays like a high physical sport like that should have a more stronger voice. Don't you think?
it's fair.
That's a little weird.
It's a fair
Like,
criticism.
if I'm going on the field against this guy and he like gets in my ear, he's like, "Hey man, I'm about to score this goal right here." Like I'm running away from this guy. You know? Get away from me, bro.
Jeez, man. I think he's just an introverted person who doesn't like to talk to the media. I don't know.
You're
It's
in the wrong sport, dude.
jeez. What sport should a guy with that voice play?
Probably golf, where there's no contact. Yeah, I'm gonna
Okay.
walk up to this 8th hole right
But
here.
I feel like if you have a seductive voice, you would want there to be contact.
True. But if you're on the field with a bunch of dudes, no, it's yeah.
Fair.
But if you're in an interview with that interview person who is probably hot, then yeah, you probably want to use your voice like this.
Okay. Anyway, besides sounding seductive, Christian Pulisic also sounds ready to go tonight. I probably wouldn't play him, although he's probably 100%. But like, why risk it? Leaving Pulisic and your yellow card guys on the bench tonight, it's like keeping your $1 million luxury sports car in the garage during a hailstorm. It's like, sure, you want to drive it, you could drive it, but why risk the dents right before the major car show next week? Like if you aren't risking losing one of your yellow card players in the first knockout game, then why would you risk not having your best player? Okay, now there is an importance to having a rhythm in every spot or every sport. With that being said, I would rather Pulisic have his health than his rhythm. Okay, because like once you're out there on the field, like you can retain your rhythm pretty quickly. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. I would assume that he sits, but we'll see if they give him like a little bit of run just to kind of help him ease back into it. The U.S. men's national team, as of right now, is a minus 105 to win tonight. So despite all of those players that we know we're going to sit, that is public information with the guys on yellows. Mauricio Pochettino, the team manager, said it yesterday. Despite us knowing that, like they're still the favorite. I don't know if they're going to win tonight, but I do think that they're going to play incredibly hard. You're going to see players get opportunities that they don't normally get because they're sitting so many players. Obviously, when you're fighting for minutes, you're going to play hard when given the opportunity. I hope Gio Reyna gets the start tonight. We're probably going to see him at some point, even if he doesn't start. He's a stud. He is an incredible talent. He's only 23 years old. He's the son of Claudio Reyna, who was the captain of the U.S. men's national team from 2000 to 2006. That means he captained that 2002 team that made the run to the quarterfinals and lost 1-0 to Germany on a very questionable handball. So, hopefully Gio Reyna can be part of another quarterfinal run like his dad was. And he's got all the talent in the world. He's the guy who scored that final goal against Paraguay as time expired. He's a real stud who's got a ton of potential. Hopefully we get to see him play tonight because he is an absolute monster out there on the pitch. Chris said he will be watching. He will be taking extensive notes. He told me off the air he was going to be monitoring their feet. That's a little weird.
That's not what I said at all. Incorrect. Try again.
Okay. All right. He said that he would try not to fall asleep during the game.
That is correct.
There you go.
Do you think that guy will try to blow in another player's ear like Lance Stevenson?
Pulisic?
Yeah.
I don't think he has to do that because he's probably going to be the best player tonight if he plays. if he plays.
What jersey number does this guy wear? I'm gonna keep an eye on this guy.
He's number 10. He's their best player.
He's the best.
Yeah, he's a bit of a stud.
Watch out for number 10. Hey, buddy, I'm coming over to get that ball.
At least it's not like Luis Suarez. Do you know what Luis Suarez used to do?
No.
He used to bite people.
Oh,
he would he would
in soccer.
Yes, he would bite people. It's like, and he didn't do it like once or twice. He did it quite a bit. I'm pretty sure it's him who was running around biting people.
And what did the referees do to this? They just gave him a yellow card. No biting.
I don't know what they did. Let me see here. He I know he did at least. I want to say he did it multiple times, but he bit this Italian dude just right in the shoulder.
That's even better.
Oh man. And then you know what makes it even all right, I'll just read it to you. So Suarez clashed with Chiellini in the box before sinking his teeth into his shoulder. Suarez then fell to the ground, clutching his face and later grabbing his teeth.
That's an actual story.
He flopped after biting the guy.
That's insane.
Oh my gosh. He left bite marks on his shoulder, which is just incredible.
So no suspension.
He was fined 66,000 euros, which is around $90,000.
Okay.
Was also banned from any football-related activities for 4 months. So yeah, big time suspension. Oh my gosh.
That's crazy that they wouldn't even kick him off the team completely. Like your career's done. They're like, no, just go sit in the corner for 4 months.
Also, so that happened in 2014. That was the third time Suarez had gotten in trouble for biting people.
And he's still playing?
So no, he's done now. This happened 12 years ago. In 2013, while he was playing for Liverpool, he bit the arm of Chelsea defender Branislav Ivanovic. Was suspended for 10 games. Before that, he was suspended 7 matches for biting someone while at Ajax, which is a club. So yeah, man, if you see Luis Suarez, hide.
Apparently. I feel like this is probably an issue he had growing up as a kid. He couldn't have friends or play with the kids at school because he kept biting people. And his parents were like, I have the perfect sport for you, soccer.
Maybe it's a sign of respect in Uruguay. That's where he's from.
It's crazy.
Or Uruguay. I don't know how you pronounce it. I don't know how to pronounce anything. If it's not an English word, I'm cooked.
I don't know. I don't know how to respond to that.
I just, Uruguay, Paraguay. The U.S. men's national team's manager's name, Mauricio Pochettino. I can't say Thibodeau.
Yeah, but you try, and you do a good job.
I did try.
And it's human.
It is. So you can add that to the list of things. Actually, I don't know if you can add that to the list of things that we learned today, because I think we've known for a while now that pronunciations are something that I'm not great at. With that being said, let's get to what we learned today.
All right, class. What did we learn today?
Yeah, the day that you mispronounced Al Unser Jr., I just stopped expecting you. Yeah, I stopped expecting you to pronounce names correctly from that point on. So this has been the seductive soccer interview edition of the Real Jonathan Smith Show. When Jonathan has guests and he says one last thing, it's never actually the last thing.
Never.
Just in case you didn't know that before. We also learned that Jonathan learned I go to bed early and won't go to sleep if it's completely silent. I'm weird. We also learned that Jonathan tried to explain what a bus stop is in soccer, and I already forgot what it was. Did I say it wrong?
No, you're right.
Is it a bus stop?
It's not a bus stop. Parking the bus.
Whatever, man.
You're parking the bus in front of the goal. Your goal is to win 1-0. You score off a counterattack.
Got it. Okay. I will ask again on
tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Sounds good.
Jonathan said, and I quote, when you're a white guy, you get compared to other short white guys.
You do.
That's all right.
It's true.
And what we also learned today is that according to Jonathan, 3 inches is a lot. And this is why we have people who call in and don't say anything. And that's what we learned today, unless you have more.
3 inches is a lot. Like, the difference between a guy who's 6'2" and a guy who's 5'11" is a lot.
Okay.
It's a big difference.
All right.
3 inches is like the difference. Seriously. Like, if you saw a guy who was like 6'3", you'd be like, oh, that guy's pretty tall. But like, you've seen guys who are 6'3" before. But when you see a dude who's 6'6", you're like, wow, man, you're tall.
If you say so.
That's true. Okay.
Like, you could have phrased it differently instead of, the 3 inches is a lot. You're like, okay, well, you can go a lot of different ways with that, Jonathan.
Bell needs to be wrong every time we say 3 inches is a lot.
Right.
But that's part of the show, man. Part of the show is making jokes like that.
I appreciate you having me here and having fun jokes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. That'll do it here on the Real Jonathan Smith Show. Thank you for tuning in. We will talk to you tomorrow starting at noon. More Pacer stuff, more Colts stuff. We'll do Funless Friday, maybe some dueling trivia as well. We'll talk to you tomorrow starting at noon.